Good morning, everyone. Nice to see everyone in person and also virtually. Welcome to the December 11th Landmarks Commission meeting. In compliance with notification requirements of Ohio's open meeting law and section 101.021 of the Codified Ordinance of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the City Planning Department conducts its meetings based on Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by roll call vote. Recusal from any case due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the beginning of the presentation. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting has the opportunity to be heard, virtual attendees will use the raised hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raised hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile versions and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking the raised hand icon again and muting your microphone. Call-in users can unmute by using *6. All meeting activities are being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube. All requests to speak on a particular matter submitted through the proper channels has been considered. Proper channels for comments are sending an email to the landmark@clevelandohio.gov email address with a comment or letter, calling or leaving a message at 216-664-2532, or sending a letter or dropping off comments at City Hall located at 601 Lakeside Avenue, Suite 519. Communication with members of this body must follow proper channels for consideration. Any comments received by the stated deadline are collected by Landmark staff and disseminated to the commission members prior to any scheduled meeting. Mr. Messi?
All right, go through the meeting rules and procedures. The chair will call each agenda item, and then each applicant will be invited to proceed through their presentation. Each presentation should be completed prior to questions and comments from the commission in order to facilitate a smooth presentation. Once the presentation is concluded, the chair will ask Landmark staff to summarize Design Review Advisory Committee recommendations and any public comments received. The deadline for public comment is noon on the Tuesday prior to any regularly scheduled Cleveland Landmarks Commission meeting. Any received comments are distributed to commission members prior to the meeting. Staff will also identify any members of the public present and scheduled to speak. Public comment is allowed at the discretion of the chair, and any individual providing public comment is permitted 2 minutes to speak to the agenda item in which they have an interest. The chair will then request a recommendation from staff. The commission will then begin deliberations and project review. Any commission member except the chair may make a motion at any point after an agenda item has been called.
I'd like to call the December 11th, 2025 Landmark Commission meeting to order. Mr. Musson, please call roll.
Ms. Anderson?
Here.
Mr. Dulick?
Here. Excuse me, here.
Councilmember Gray?
Here.
Mr. Lozier? Director Mersman? Mr. Sambry?
Here.
Mr. Strickland? Mr. Trasick? Dr. Williams?
Here.
And Ms. Trott?
Here.
Madam Chair, we do have quorum. I guess like to note that, yes, Director Mersman is here. She raised her hand, but didn't get that audibly, just for the record. Also like to know that we have myself, Jessica Beam, present from Landmark staff. Carl Brenges is joining us virtually. And then we have Kevin Roberts from law, and I believe Sierra Williams will be, or I'm sorry, Sierra Lipscomb will be joining us shortly.
All right, excellent. Well, then we will begin with our certificates of appropriateness. Before we begin our discussion of this case, we do need to untable the case. Would someone like to make a motion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to make a motion to untable.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion second. Mr. Musson, please call roll.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Dulick?
Yes.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Director Mersman,
Yes.
Mr. Sandberry? Yes. Dr. Williams?
Yes.
And Ms. Trout?
Yes.
Okay, Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
All right, we'd like to welcome the first applicant forward to announce yourself and tell us about your project.
Good morning. This is Aldo from VNext Design.
Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, so we're looking at Safar Fine Casual Dining. We have the sign. We're asking for approval for the sign. Can we go to the next page, please? This is a revised sign package. We have work on the graphics on the windows, and also we have update the lighting inside the letters for Safar. Those are going to be LED neon tubes inside the channel letters. We got you guys can see the description. The channel letters will be mounted on a raceway. The graphics are going to be applied from on each window according to the design. The awnings are existing. You guys can see day view, night view, description of sizes, square footage. Next page, please. We can see more details of the channel letter. We can see the tube inside the letter. The letters are going to be painted inside. The tubes are going to be in the middle, single stroke. We can see more descriptions, thickness, materials. And we can also see an example of how the letters will be done. Next page, please. More descriptions, anchoring, sizes, and so on. Next page, please. We can see the far view look of the windows, the window designs, decals that were submitted it. We can see the sizes and locations. Next page. We have a site plan. We can see the location of the business in relationship to the street, the building. Next page. Surrounding signage around the area with similar description, similar materials and shapes. And that completes the presentation. Thank you.
Great, thank you for the presentation. So this did not go back to local, so landmark staff recommendation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, staff appreciates the incorporation of the neon elements. That was something that the local committee and the commission had asked for previously. It's turned into a very handsome sign. I think it'll fit in well with all the other signage on that building and in that district. Staff does have some concerns about the placement of the window graphics and the window framing with the verticality of the F in the middle of the Safar name, kind of lining up with the center mullion. But we recommend approval.
All right, thank you. With that, then we'll open up the floor to the commission for questions and comments. I'd like to start us off. I guess I'll start us off. I would echo, staff's comments that I appreciate the applicant listening to our feedback and making the adjustments to the design. I do appreciate the difficulty of trying to get the name coordinated with the mullion to spread across the two, window panes, and maintaining the pureness of the logo itself. I don't have a suggestion of how to fix that besides take the name smaller, so I don't object to it. Overall, I am in support of the project. Ms. Anderson?
I'm in agreement with both staff and Madam Chair. I'm wondering if, I'm not sure what the mullion material is, and I'm just wondering if that section where the lettering is, just that little section, if the mullion material can be somehow darkened so that the F shows up in the in the sign.
The mullion is actually silver, aluminum silver. I think from far away, you'll still be able to read. I mean, this is exactly how it's gonna be. So I think even though with the small piece being cut off, but you're still gonna be able to read and distinguish and read the words.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Mr. Doolittle?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I echo the appreciation for the responsiveness and what I think is shaping up to be a really nice presence on the street. Minor detail, but it looks like we have 3 different relationships between the F and the vertical mullion. The one on the left, where it's between the F and the A, feels the best, I guess, versus the one that's slightly off or one that's right on the F. So to the degree it's possible, if there can be a consistency among those 3. My preference being the one on the left that I think is the left-hand part. Even looking at your very helpful overall elevation, I think that kind of reads through. Thank you.
I would agree with that. Mr. Stanberry?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the details for the signage. One detail I think is missing is just a note that says all mechanical fasteners will be attached through the mortar joints
And electrical feeds?
and electrical feeds, yes.
I noted it. I forgot to say it, so that's great. Thank you. All right, any other questions or comments? Not seeing any. Would someone like to make a motion? Mr. Doolittle?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to make a motion to approve as presented with the conditions that the mullion alignment be between the F and the A as presented on the left-hand side, and that all fasteners for the signage on the masonry as well as all electrical penetrations be through mortar joints.
Excellent. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Motion second. Any further discussion? All right, not seeing any. Mr. Muslim, please call roll.
Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Dulick,
Yes.
Councilmember Gray,
Yeah.
Director
Yes.
Marsman, Director Marsman,
Yes.
Mr. Stanbury,
Yes.
Dr. Williams,
Yes.
and Ms. Trott.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Excellent. Congratulations, and we look forward to seeing your project move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll then move on to our next applicant, located at 11642 Lorraine Avenue. Kids Can Be Kids Learning Center signage. Good morning. If you don't mind hitting the button on your mic in front of you, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Is this to move it?
Correct.
A lag.
Huh?
There's a bit of a lag, so when you press the button, just the button on the right.
It just takes a minute.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Kathiana De Jesus. I am the administrator at Kids Can Be Kids Learning Center. My mom is the owner, Alicia Garcia, but I'm doing the representation. Let's see. Okay. So this is the aerial view from the daycare that we're looking into, right on the top where the red marks are, where that's the location, like, we'll be in the middle of a couple of different businesses. And at the bottom, you can see where I pointed at, but the red arrows are at, that's where we would be at in that area. So our proposed is, we would like to do some signage, but we're not gonna do too many of them. Last week when we had our meeting with Landmarks, they recommended for us not to do vinyl banners But they said that we can use them temporarily if needed, and they suggested an aluminum composite, which we were able to find. So we can do that right away, so we will not need to use the vinyl banners temporarily. So we already found somebody to do that one for us, which would go right there on the top, because, you know, the trees kind of cover where the Minuteman used to be. So it kind of looked better moving it right there at the bottom, like right there where the yellow's at.
Mhm.
So that's gonna be the composite material that we will be using. So I just wanted to show an example of that. We got that. And also we have these window decals for the doors. They're the privacy ones, so we can see outside, but nobody can see on the inside, which helps because we already have another daycare. Our goal is just to move to a bigger location, a better area for us. So we have those on the doors, and we also had like a smaller little vinyl banner that had like a couple things that we were offering, and we were suggested to put it on the door, which I was able to fit everything properly on the door, so we eliminated that little small banner. So we would have the same window decals on the front door and then on the back door, so it'll be like double. The same two for the front, and the aluminum composite would be on the back as well, which would be the next one. So that would be the back. So the front, the doors would be the exact same decals, and the aluminum composite would be right on top as well. And the only vinyl banner would be the one that they give us from the county, which tells us our star rating. So that would be the only one that we would keep right there. So we eliminated the little vinyl banner, and we will not need to do temporary vinyl banners either. So, yeah. And that concludes my proposal.
Excellent. Thank
Thank
you.
you, thank
Thank you
you.
for the presentation.
Thank you.
Before we get to our comments, we're going to discuss the Design Review Advisory Committee's recommendation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This project was reviewed by the Historic West Cleveland Design Review Advisory Committee on the 3rd. They were supportive of the signage in the locations proposed, because it makes sense to have it lower than the trees, because it's hard to see where the trees are blocking. And just suggested, as our applicant mentioned, for the larger signage to have it an aluminum composite panel rather than a vinyl, to have that more permanent presence for the, to stick around in the neighborhood. And so that's what they recommended for both the Lorraine Avenue facade and then the back, which is visible from West 117th. And they did note that the West 117th is not facing our historic district. It's kind of off facing a parking lot, but it's still visible when you're coming south. And so that's still an important facade to have nice signage. And so overall, they were supportive of the project and recommended the issuance of a certificate of appropriateness with conditions that the rear door vinyl includes all the amenities instead of having the extra sign, that the banners, vinyl banners could be used temporary or with a recommendation for a more permanent 3x8 aluminum composite panel in the same locations. The county vinyl sign fine as presented, and to present the final details to staff. And so I'm happy to see that a lot of that was done by our applicants prior to the meeting.
Excellent. All right, thank you. Then we'll move on to Landmark staff recommendation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, staff appreciates the taking into account the comments from the local committee and the changes you've made to your presentation so far. Certainly makes our job easier. Did want to note that we think this will probably need a variance from the signage code for the size and coverage. So we'd recommend that you include that in any motion for approval. And it may need to go to the planning commission for conditional use, since this isn't a PRO. That's a separate process that we can.
I'm actually going to see them next week.
Okay, perfect. Then
Yeah.
you're on the right track. Then staff is supportive and recommends approval and granting any variances to the signage code that are needed.
Excellent, thank you. Then we'll open up the floor of the commission for questions and comments. I guess I'll start us off. Overall, I appreciate, as staff said, that you both have listened to the initial comments of the committee and incorporated it bringing it forward because it does make our life a lot easier. Only comments that I have, I mean, overall, I think this is, a really great solution, very light touch to what you're doing, is to make sure the Minuteman signage is removed.
I'm sorry, it's actually not there no more.
Oh, okay, perfect, excellent. Well, there you go, took care of that
Google
too.
Images has not
Um,
updated.
If there are any graphics in your windows around Lorraine, make sure those are just taken off so that it doesn't hit the variances required. Making sure all of your signage is I'll take Mr. Sandberry, anchored into all of the mortar joints on both the front and back so that, if you remove them, they're not damaging anything on the rear and the front. It looks like that might be a window panel. I can't, like a wood panel. When the signs are placed on masonry, make sure it's in the mortar joints. And then I would support any variances required. So overall, I'm in support of your project.
Thank you.
Any other questions and comments from the commission? Someone like to make a motion? Mr. Sandberg?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll make a motion to approve as presented, granting any variances required and requiring all signage on masonry to be put in mortar joints,
Excellent.
fasteners in mortar joints.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I will second.
Thank you, Mr. Dulix. We have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? All right, Mr. Muslim, please call roll.
Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Dulick,
Yes.
Councilmember Gray,
Yes.
Director Mearsman,
Yes.
Mr. Sandberry,
Yes.
Dr. Williams, and Ms. Trott.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Congratulations.
Thank you
Thank
guys
you for
so
your hard
much.
work and we look forward to seeing your project move forward.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you guys
you.
have a nice day.
Thank you, you too. And thank you for coming in person. We'll then move on to our next applicant located at 3001 Prospect Avenue, fence replacement at First Methodist Church, Prospect Avenue, or in the Prospect Avenue Historic District.
Good morning, everyone. All right, we can start to the next page, please. All right, next, please. Go right into the content. This is an aerial mapping of the said location, which is 3001 Prospect Avenue, First Methodist Church. This is for replacing fencing that's currently around their south parking lot. It's been in some dire needs for replacement, but if you could go to the next page, please. The content's going to be, this is the perimeter boundary fence on the south parking lot. The objective is to increase security while maintaining its historical appearance. The existing site has a 4-foot-high black ornamental fence along the west and south boundaries of the parking lot and a 4-foot-high black chain link fence along the east boundary. The new fencing is to be 6-foot-high black ornamental to be installed in the same locations of the 4-foot-high black ornamental, and then a new 6-foot-high chain link fence to be installed in the same location as the 4-foot-high. The next two are from the review commissions to address a couple things that they had pointed out. One of them was the possibility of adding a finial to the top of each one of the pickets, and the other one was to address some concerns they had in regard to the current condition of the concrete curb that surrounds their parking lot. You could go to the next page, please. This is a view of the East 30th fence line and main entryway that you see there. Next page, please. Again, this is another view from the East 30th fence line a little bit further down the line, obviously showing the existing fence and parking lot. Next slide, please. This is a corner view, which, as I'll jump ahead a little bit, as you can see at the corner of the curb there, you can see it's actually busted out. That was one of the reasons why the review committee brought that up in the review meeting. If you could go to the next slide, please. This is the view on Prospect Avenue, which is the fence line, as well as a secondary gated entryway, which will only be used for emergencies, but you can see that there are the gates collapsing. Next slide, please. This is a to scale diagram, kind of showing an aerial view of where the building is, which is occupied by Signature Health, and the perimeter being in yellow, showing where the ornamental fence is, then the pink showing where the chain link fence is going to go. Next slide, please. These are examples, the cut sheets for the materials that are going to be used, also showing the example of the style of fence that is going to be looking to be installed. Next slide, please. Again, a cut sheet of the chain link fence. Next, please. These are photo examples of what the fence is going to look like, that at least was proposed. Next, please. Same thing with the chain link fence up against the hedge line. Ironically, it might come up, the existing fence is also in a hedge line, just so if anybody does question that, it's virtually unseeable at this point. Next slide, please. These are examples of some neighboring properties with virtually the same fence. There's a couple of detailed differences from ours to theirs, but this is what prompted arguably the finial top on the top of the pickets because of the differences. But next slide, please. Now, this slide here is going to specifically address the Landmarks Commission for the proposal to adding finial picket finials to the new fence. Now, these are also two neighboring properties that do not have the finials, which actually are exact matches to the fence that they are wanting to put up. Next slide, please. This was following the review meeting. I was asked to get in touch with the owners to discuss the two issues in regards to the pickets, finial tops, and then also the curb issue. And basically following the initial meeting with the Landmark Commission, we contacted the owner of the property to discuss the Landmarks Commission's concerns with the current condition of the concrete curb. The owner's plans on having their in-house maintenance department remove the fence. After the removal, they will evaluate the curb and decide which direction they will take to repair/restore the curb. They also acknowledge the fact that they might have to seek consultation with a concrete contractor after the fence is removed for the proper restoration. So they have acknowledged that they are going to do something. They just don't know right now to the extent of it, because once the old fence comes out, they'll have a better idea of what they're going to have to do. Next slide, please. These are some examples of the worst areas of the curb where it's over the years it's deteriorated from when the other fence was installed. These are the two worst areas here. There's approximately 30 holes. These are two of them. Next slide, please. And this is the typical look of the existing curb. And I apologize for the snow. Unfortunately, we were under a time constraint here, and we just did the best we could. But you can see some of these, it's going to be as simple as removing the post and then capping it, and then maybe some of them having to have some reconstruction. Next slide, please. Yeah, okay, that was the end of it. The only other thing that wasn't addressed in this presentation was the review board's recommendation to try to add the finials to the fence. I talked with the owner and with the said tenant, and they respectfully would like to decline that just because they felt it was somewhat cost prohibitive to add that after the fact. And then also they citing two adjacent properties which have exactly the same fence that they would like to have put in, even though there are some others in the neighborhood that do have the other style of finial. So thank you. That's the end of the presentation.
All right, thank you for the presentation. Before we move on to the next step, could you state your name and your company for our record to make sure that we have it cited correctly?
Sure. My name is Bob Sparent, and my company is RJS Fence.
Excellent, thank you. We'll then move on to the Design Review Advisory Committee recommendations.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This project was reviewed by the Greater Downtown Historic Design Review Advisory Committee on the 3rd. There was a lot of discussion about the proposed materiality of the current fence that's there and the new fence proposed, with a lot of discussion on aluminum versus steel or cast iron fence options. and a lot of discussion on the curb situation as well as the addition of finials. And so they did recommend the issuance of a certificate of appropriateness with the replacing it with the working with the contractor or the owner and landmarks to make sure that the curb condition is resolved and to explore the addition of finials for the fence for an aesthetically appropriate solution.
Excellent, thank you. And then we'll move on to landmark staff recommendations.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, Landmark staff appreciates the legwork done by the applicant following the local meeting. As I guess, you know, they mentioned that they thought the finials would be a nice addition. Staff tends to agree. We understand there's a cost increase. I believe, Bob, I think you said it was like $3,700 additional. So it's a notable cost increase, but we do think that would make you know, it would be a nice addition if it's possible. The fence that's being removed, just wanted to note, it is, you know, steel or iron, but it's not historic. It appears to be, I don't know, put in place somewhere in the 1980s or 90s. So it's an older fence, but it's not, you know, it's not from the 1880s or 1890s. And then just also wanted to note that this is located in a retail district as far as the zoning goes. So it may need a variance from Board of Zoning Appeals, since I believe only 4-foot fences are allowed in retail districts, but that's sort of an issue outside of what our commission can handle. So that may be some additional process that you need to go through, Bob, and that will be flagged during the permit process if it needs to get a variance.
Okay, yeah, because I know we applied for the permit and they're the ones that basically directed me to you guys saying that this was in the landmark district. They didn't make any reference to the variance. Would they have normally have done that at the same time, or would they wait for it to be resubmitted after these meetings?
No, basically we're in the permit process as it stands when you applied. Landmarks would be our first step, and then after, you know, you get an approval or, you know, it's resolved from the landmarks end, it would go on to zoning, and then you'd get the feedback from them.
Okay.
All right, thank you for the summary of your comments. We'll then open up the floor to the commission for questions and comments. Who would like to start us off? Ms. Anderson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I think this is probably a good move, given that we've had a number of break-ins at church parking lots lately. You know, my preference is for the finials, but $3,700 is quite a bit of money, so I can understand how the applicant is reluctant to do that. It'd be nice if, you know, they could find some source of funding for that. But overall, I'm supportive of the project.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Other questions and comments? Mr. Dulick?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's a little different. I think some of the other examples were corner sites as well, but this is a corner site. I have a question. So through the chair to the applicant, or do you know, is the corner post a larger post? Is all the same size?
It is not. The corner
Okay.
post is the same size as, the only posts that are different size are the actual gate posts.
Okay.
But now, but
Okay.
I'll say this much there. Now, I just want to make sure we're on the same page. The post for the proposed new fence is the same identical size as the posts that are currently there, if that means anything.
That does. No, that was my question. Hey, thank
Okay.
you. I mean, I'm generally in support of the project.
Excellent. I think I would echo that I am in support of the project, but would suggest the requirement to do the repair or restoration of the concrete curb prior to the installation of the fence. And I would support the recommendation for the finials, not the requirement, and then also supporting any variances required. I echo what Ms. Anderson said. I know this area very closely. I work like 2 buildings down, and what's being proposed aligns with what's there. And it's very limited retail in this area. So I could support variances for the 6-foot high fence. Any other questions or comments, or would someone like to put forward a motion? Ms. Anderson?
I will move that we approve the project, subject to the applicant repairing the curb. And a strong recommendation that they explore, including finials. And support any variances required for this project.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Samberry. So we have a motion. Do we have a second? Any further discussion? Mr. Mussam, please call roll.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Dulick?
Yes.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Director Mearsma?
Yes.
Mr. Samberry?
Yes.
Dr. Williams?
Yes.
And Ms. Trott?
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Excellent. Congratulations. We look forward to seeing your project move forward.
All right, thank you very much. Can I add one comment real quick, please?
Yes, go ahead.
It was in regards to a comment that was made. I had my hand raised and I wasn't able to get in there. Was regarding the process or the sequencing of things that are going to happen. One of the members had mentioned that they would prefer to have the concrete curb fixed prior to the new fence going in. I don't think we're going to be able to do that. I think that's going to have to be after the fact because they don't want to leave this place unsecured. So they're asking that we install the new fence first, and then they're going to remove the old fence and then address the concrete curb. I hope that that's okay.
That was me who made the comment, and understand as long as it's done as part of the project, even
Yes.
if it's a delayed element, just a requirement related to the construction. So
Okay,
thank
I
you for that
appreciate that.
clarification.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, from here, do I just go back to the city with my permit, or how does the process work from here?
Yeah, so from here, Landmarks will be in touch with next steps, but it'll keep moving through the permit approval process.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you. We'll then move on to our next applicant, located at 9515 Lorraine Avenue, Kim's Caribbean Kitchen, pole sign. I'd like to welcome the applicant. Please announce yourself and tell us about your project. Is Mr. Duer still here?
Yes, this is Aldo Dur from VNext.
Will you be presenting the pole sign for Kim's Caribbean Kitchen?
Yes, yes.
All right, please proceed.
Yep. So this is a revised rendering. We can see we're gonna go straight to the pole sign. So we removed the phone number. You guys can see this is the existing pole sign. We're doing a refacing. And pretty straightforward. I mean, we're replacing the existing the faces of the existing cabinet. We can see dimensions, day view and night view. Next page, please. We can see a site plan, location of the pole, and relationship with the building. Next page. We can see surrounding signage in the area. And that completes the presentation. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the presentation. We will then move on to landmark staff recommendation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we saw this project the last meeting, and the commission approved the wall signage, like the building signage, but you guys did not approve the pole signage. And so the applicant has come back with a request to look at the pole sign individually. So I did just want to, I guess, kind of go back in time. Go to the next slide, please. This project has had this property has had a pole sign in the past. It was originally Hobo Joe's, and then it changed to Babe's Soul Food Restaurant, which you can see in the 2021 image, then that was removed sometime between 2020 and 2022. When this project came in April of 2020 for a case for Stuff Yourself, I believe was the name of the restaurant, to add signage to the building and to incorporate the pole sign. Again, the building signage was approved at that point, and there was specifically in the motion, it was stated that the pole and pole sign be removed. Then at some point between 2022 and 2024, the basically cabinet for a pole sign reappeared, but there were never faces installed. And so, you know, we're here today. They're looking to basically use the cabinet, reface the cabinet, or put faces on the cabinet that never had faces and was never approved. So it's kind of got a long, complicated history for a pole sign. So I will leave it to you guys for discussion.
All right. Excellent. Thank you. Well, then we'll open up the floor of the commission for questions and comments. Who'd like to start us off? Ms. Anderson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So pole signs are no longer allowed in this location, correct?
In 2020, Landmarks Commission specifically stated in their motion that the pole sign was to be removed.
Okay.
And that was never done. The upper portion of the actual sign was removed, but the pole was not removed. And then sometime between 2022 and 2024, the cabinet for the pole sign was installed without permit or approval from this body or the city. And I'm not sure if Building and Housing went out and said, you know, hey, you can't just put up a sign, or what the process was then. But a sign face was never installed. So it looks, you know, similar to the 2024 image now, is my understanding.
So the 2021 sign was put in without permission, correct?
The 2021 sign was basically a refacing of an existing sign. The hot dog with the neon elements and everything used to be the Hobo Joe's restaurant. I'm not sure. I know that went through the storefront renovation program in, I think, the early 2000s, maybe the late 90s. You know, I don't know if it was an existing pole at that point, but I do know that the storefront renovation program had a history of reutilizing existing pole signs with more graphic elements, like the hot dog and the neon. Like, it's not just a circular or a square sign. So they try and make them interesting, but I don't know if it was installed as a new pole at that point.
I do kind of like the hot dog and the neon. Okay, well, thank you. Thanks for the clarification.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Other questions and comments? Mr. Dulick?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through the chair to staff, would this approval require a variance, and is that a variance that we could grant?
That's a good question, through the chair. I don't know what, I'm not sure. It's not legally, it's not an existing pole sign. So I don't know. Yeah, honestly, I don't know if you guys, I mean, I think it's part of the sign code, so you could, but I don't know if there are other zoning issues that would be required, that would require another variance outside the signage code to install it. So sorry for my non-answer.
Through the chair to staff, and yet it exists, legally or otherwise. The fact is that there is an empty boxed sign on a pole that at least historically had a sign. I love the hot dog. What can I say? So I just want to make sure that we're clear as a body that we would have to say we support or don't support any variances that may be required. Is that safe
Yes, yeah, I think you could, if you wanted to approve this, I think you would say that you would support any variances to the sign, or you grant any variances to the sign code required and would support any other variances required.
Okay, Mr. Sandberry?
I just want to say my logic on this as it pertains to the Secretary of the Interior standards. I think this is an existing condition when the owners purchased this lot, as I understand it. And they're not changing the existing condition, they're only reskinning it or skinning it. As far as I understand.
So, yeah, so the last approved sign that was there is the hot dog one. So that square
But as
cabinet,
a historic property in a district, when the owners took over, it's an existing condition. Whether or not it was legally installed, it was an existing condition when ownership took over.
I believe the hot dog was an existing condition when the owners took over,
Okay.
the hot dog sign. I believe it's been under the same ownership since, 2020. I don't know, Aldo, when was this property purchased?
I don't have that date right now.
Okay.
But yeah, at that stage when I believe when the storefront program came, basically, like you said, but we always wanted to get that sign there or keep that sign because this is vital for any business right now. Poles, pole or monument signs are very high visible, and honestly, what we really want to keep is that so the people or the people that are in that business they can advertise, and obviously, the owner is open either to keep that or maybe bring us a monument, but the monument is going to be too low. And that could obstruct the view for people coming out from the parking lot. And any smaller sign is not even worth, doing it. So we really want to keep that sign the way it is, if it's possible. And we leave it up to you, to the board.
So, I guess my interpretation is, I appreciate Mr. Sandberry's your comments, but I guess I'm still going back to that this existing condition was not approved and the cabinet was removed. So I believe it, what's the word I'm looking for? Absolves is the only word I can, the ability to grandfather the sign into the code, right? So it wasn't something that was there. And we said, no, we're not granting approval of that sign anymore. They didn't put it onto they took the cabinet off of it. So it's no longer a pole sign, it's just a pole that someone's put a cabinet on. So that's my interpretation of the situation we're in. With that said, I can support signage in this location if it was a monument sign, so that I understand the desire of the owner to define this property, as the parking for the location. I mean, we just approved building signage for the property at hand, just at the recent meeting. So I do not personally support the pole sign, but I could support signage here as a monument sign. Other questions and comments from the commission? Ms. Anderson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think in some ways I tend to agree with you that the monument sign would be the easiest solution here, given the confusion with what's allowed and what isn't allowed. I'm still somewhat torn. The pole sign was there. the pole was there. It's a mid-century modern building, so a pole sign is sort of an appropriate part of that architecture. They're gonna need something because you cannot see the signage from the building if you're coming from the east going west. So they're gonna need something there. So I take your point, but at the same time, I kind of take their point too. I'm torn.
Great feedback. Other questions and comments? Not seeing any. Would someone like to put forward a motion? Mr. Dulick?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to put forward a motion. Given the character of the commercial district and the deep history of having a monument sign here, short of being able to say, please bring back the hot dog or some Caribbean version of it, which I'm not going to do, I'm going to make a motion to approve as presented.
Approve it presented.
Approve as presented.
Okay,
yes.
thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, thank you, Ms. Anderson. Any further? Any further discussion?
Does that motion need to have any variance approvals?
Oh, my apologies.
Yes, yeah, I would, I guess if you're, I would recommend including granting any signage or variances to the signage code that are required and support for any other variances that might be needed.
Well said. Is that okay with you?
I agree.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Samberry. Any further discussion?
No study of the hot dog.
We'd like to recommend that, but don't know if it relates to the business. So with that, Mr. Messon, please call roll.
Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Dulick,
Yes.
Councilmember Gray.
Yes.
I did want to note Director Mearsman had to step away. She sent me a message, so Nate Lull from planning is standing in for her. So Mr. Lull,
Yes.
Mr. Samberry,
Yes.
Dr. Williams,
Yes.
and Ms. Trott.
No.
All right, Madam Chair, the motion passes by a vote of 6-1.
All right, congratulations. We look forward to seeing your project move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll then move on to our next applicant located at 2860 East 130th Street, demolition.
Hi, good morning. Wu John from the City of Cleveland Demolition Bureau. And so we're here for the application for demolition at the Blaze Building that's located at 2860 East 130th. The next,
Delay, just so you know when you hit the button.
okay.
Jessica's trying there. There you go.
Oh, okay. All right. Next slide, please. All right, so I'm just going to briefly summarize the demolition ordinance under the landmark. So in order for this body to approve a demolition, there's a factor test. You got to look at the architectural and historical significance, the contribution and the character to the surrounding, the economic viability, and also whether or not the building presents an imminent and dangerous conditions. And in order for in issuing a certificate of appropriateness, there are actually two distinct paths. There's the factor test. You got to make sure that, does demolition not really affect the historic or aesthetic features? Or if a city department such as Building and Housing certifies that there's an imminent danger to the conditions of the property. And I think the Building and Housing has done that with the condemnation and demolition order. This body must issue a certificate of appropriateness. So that was just a summary. So next slide. I'll have to do it. All right. Okay. All right, so this is just the exterior of the property. And the land use is office building. Zoning is for a commercial office. is approximately 1/4 acres. It's in Ward 6. The CDC is the Bell Development Corporation. It's in the Buckeye Shaker Square neighborhood, and our council representative is Council President Griffin. And as you can see, the exterior really doesn't have any architectural significance, in my opinion. The owner is Cuyahoga Real Estate Group. They've owned it since approximately 3 years. The property has been condemned since February of this year. We've had 3 complaints since then. In actuality, due to the issues around the property, the Building and Housing did have to put up a temporary fencing around it, and they've also issued a civil ticket. There aren't really any legal issues to move forward. And the reason that we're here is a lot of the community members there have been complaining a lot about the drug activity, the human waste and trash and debris around the site. CPD has been there. I think CPD is in that vicinity, not necessarily for this property, but for surrounding the Family Dollar, the gas station there. And they've been around, and this is considered a nuisance, and this building, a vacant building there, is not necessarily helping the cause. All right. And this is just the site location. It's basically right off of Buckeye and East 130th, right behind the Family Dollar. And I think one of the major complaints has been that church, the Holy Grove Baptist Church. Constituents there are fearful. If anybody, there's like a lot of people that are doing illegal activity in the surrounding area. And this is just the exterior. As you can see, we did, and there is a fence up there. All right, that's just the side views of the property. This is the interior. It looked like it's been, the walls have been torn out. And that guy is actually an asbestos surveyor. That's in the, all right. Again, more of the same. It's just been torn out. More of the same. These are some of the adjacent structures. And I mentioned the church, and then the Family Dollar is right there. Across the street is I believe, the post office. And I'm not sure that this building adds to the character of the surrounding either. I mean, besides the church, I don't really see much, architectural or historical significance. I mean, you got the Family Dollar and gas station there. I don't think there's any significant architectural character. And as to the economic viability, the owner was with us, like when we did the site visit, that was over on October the 24th, I believe. And he was like, oh, I'm going to bring forth plans. And to date, there has been no plan. So, generally speaking, I understand that, if he wanted to create a trade score or whatnot with this, but the owners, generally speaking, can have good intentions, but, to this date, no plans have been submitted. And I believe at this current state, there is no economic viability. And again, this body could approve it under the factor test, or again, if a city department like Building and Housing certifies that they're in imminent dangerous condition, not necessarily to the building itself, but to the surrounding area, that it shall approve the certificate of appropriateness. So I look forward to your comments.
All right, thank you for the presentation. We will then move into the local committee's recommendations.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this project was reviewed by the Greater Cuyahoga Valley Historic Design Review Advisory Committee on November 18th. There was a lot of discussion about the site visit, as some of the committee members were present there. Note that the owner was there and stated all these plans for the building. And so the committee was questioning, what are those plans? And noted, just as the building condition, the interior appeared to be fine with a roof leak, or a few places there was a roof leak, and that additional security would be warranted, but the building is very visible, and there wasn't a need for demo present or shown to the committee. And so they did recommend that a certificate of appropriateness was not issued and denied.
Okay, thank you. And Landmark staff recommendation.
So I'll start. For demolition projects, as landmark staff, we like to provide history if we know it for the building and also some evidence of the site visit. As our applicant noted, the site visit was completed October 24th of this year. A little bit of history of this building. It is in the Shaker Square Historic District, located in the Custer Estate subdivision. It was constructed after the period of significance outlined in the National Register Historic District nomination, which was focused on the Van Swearingen's impact in the neighborhood. And this was constructed in 1952, which is a few years after that. From what I was able to find, it was constructed by the National Screw Machine Products Association, which was established in the 1920s in Chicago. Their headquarters moved around a few places across the country, eventually was located on Shaker Square in the 1940s until this building was created. And then the company relocated to, or the organization relocated to Brecksville in the late 1970s. They are still there under the name Precision Machined Products Association. Once the NSMPA moved, the building went through a few different uses, eventually becoming home to Blaze Company or Blaze Inc., their offices. Appears that they were a dry cleaning company, started in the 1940s, and so they had their offices located on Shaker Square with a few different locations, a public square, also in the Woodhill neighborhood. And they went into the hospitality, and so we were able to find an ad that has the same kind of font as the sign on the building, which was nice. Most recently, the building was used as daycares, a few different ones. As a note, just in the history of this corner of the historic district, the section of East 130th was considered in the 1980s by the commission at the time that this corner was critically important to the future stability of Shaker Square as a main connection point between Buckeye and Drexmoor and Shaker Square, which is why it was included. It's a little bit different than, you know, Shaker and South and Northmoreland. Just wanted to add that right there. From our images from the site visit, this is kind of a picture from 2016 as well as from October. And we were able to walk through the property, walk around the property, note that it is fenced in and appears to have some work being done in some way. But there are places where windows are missing or water on the ground and evidence of, there's only two of those, damage to the building just as a lack of care over the years.
Yeah, and then, Madam Chair, I will just add, I think that there were some of the members of the commission at that site visit in October, who saw the conditions of the building, in person. I did want to note that the Council President Griffin, whose ward this is located in, is in enthusiastic support for the demolition. And we received word from Burton Belcar that they're also in support of the community's desires to see the building demolished. I did want to note that the security fence that's referenced or you saw in some of those images was installed by the owner, and the owner's architect and the owner were present at the site visit, and they had consultants as the applicant mentioned, going through the building, conducting asbestos surveys with the plans to open up a trade school. So, staff feels that they should be given some time to, let that plan come to fruition. As we all know, those rehabs of vacant buildings can take a good amount of time. But I did want to ask our representative from law, Ms. Lipscomb, to respond to the discussion of our ordinance and provide some clarification on the commission's charge.
Hi, I'm Sierra Lipscomb from the Law Department. So there's been a lot of discussion within the Law Department about the interpretation of 161.05. And I will reiterate here today, as I have done actually in the past, that, the commission reviews applications for certificates of appropriateness on a case-by-case basis, considering the specific facts and circumstances of each individual property. That is no different in cases involving a potential demolition and removal. At the end of the day, it is really up to the commission as to whether it makes a finding that demolition or removal is warranted in each individual case. So it's not just a matter of, okay, when we have this this is present, then we have to make this decision in every case. It really is a fact by fact, case by case analysis. And I just want to kind of go through the 16105 and some of the provisions there to kind of highlight just as authority for this position. So looking at Cleveland Codified Ordinance Section 16105 B2 A through F details the various standards as of which the commission should consider when it is evaluating cases related to demolition and removal. One of the 6 standards pertains to if the demolition will remedy conditions eminently dangerous to life, health, or property. But it is only one of the 6 standards that this commission is sort of tasked with reviewing. Under 16105, C, we have if the commission finds that the environmental change proposed by the applicant will not adversely affect any significant historical or aesthetic feature of the property and is appropriate and consistent with the spirit and purposes of this chapter, or will remedy conditions eminently dangerous to life, health, or property as determined in writing by the Department of Building and Housing or the Division of Fire or the Department of Public Health, then the commission shall issue a certificate of appropriateness. Again, the use of that term finding, if this body finds, that either or of those things are present, then it, can make a decision whether to approve or deny a certificate of appropriateness, based off of the specific circumstances of each property. And then if you look at 161.05D, if the commission makes a finding contrary to sort of the outlines in under Division C, then the commission may deny or delay the application for demolition or removal. And obviously, if the commission decides today whether, it wants to deny or delay this application for a certificate of appropriateness related to demolition or removal, the applicant, as is the case in every circumstance, has available appeal remedies and can appeal this body's decision to, the Board of Zoning Appeals and even further if they so choose to do that. And then lastly, I would just highlight that, under the codified ordinances, there are provisions related specifically to the Department of Building and Housing, where if there's truly like an emergency situation, then they can go forward and, move forward with demolition, and it would actually fall outside of this body's review. So, if that were the circumstances here, Building and Housing could move forward with that process, irrespective of the Landmarks Commission's view. But I just want to kind of recap that for you so you understand sort of the legal framework in which these cases are considered and kind of law's position on how the commission should consider these cases. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Combe. Okay, then with that, we'll open up the floor to questions and comments from the commission. Anderson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I attended the site visit back in October, and I was a little surprised to see this come up on the agenda for demolition, because there was a very enthusiastic gentleman there who was going into detail about his plans for the building and, how he's going to put a trade school in there. And, I think we managed to convince him not to paint the exterior. And, I was kind of expecting to see plans for the building as opposed to this. So I'm not sure what happened to him. I don't know if anybody can answer this question, but is it the same? Is he affiliated with the party that bought it 3 years ago? Is it the same people that own it, or is he trying to buy it from them, or do we know?
Yeah, so Mr. Nair, he's known with the city. He used to be one of our contractors. So yes, he's the owner of the company. If you look at the Secretary of State or whatever, under Cuyahoga Real Estate Group. He is listed as the owner.
Okay.
And did you contact him and give him a deadline of when it was coming to us for request for demolition? Like, is he aware that it's here for requested for demolition?
Yes, he was at the site visit, and I also forwarded him the meeting that we're having, this landmark meeting, whenever first I got hold of him. So I did email him or text him that we were having this meeting as well.
Okay, and I'm assuming, is he present or not present?
He is not present.
Okay. Just for, I would agree. I know projects like this in certain areas do take a while. And, this is, I understand the nuisance that it sounds like it's causing in the neighborhood. But the opportunity, if the building has good bones, is something that I'm thinking and considering also. Was there a structural, danger to this? Why it's imminent? An imminent danger?
I mean, just the nature of the condemnation and demolition order, and the order, it says it's a dangerous building. So, I mean, beyond that, I'm not an expert in that field. I mean, I'm after the fact, so I can't really comment.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Anderson?
Yeah, I got a couple of comments here. At that walkthrough, I mean, the building isn't kind of sorry shape, but it definitely could be resuscitated. It didn't look like it was gonna, but if it sits the way it is, it will at some point be beyond hope. But right now, I think it could still be renovated without a doubt. My other comment is, in the presentation, we talked about, issues of, safety and nuisance. And there is what looks to me, I think, is an all-night gas station on the corner there. And I can tell you, living near an all-night gas station, there are safety and nuisance issues resulting from those kind of establishments. So tearing down this building is not going to suddenly make that area safe and quiet. Those are my two comments for now.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Other questions and comments from the commission?
Yes, hi, Madam Chair, this is Councilwoman Gray.
Yes, Councilwoman, go ahead.
Yes, I live in the area as well. And that building, Buckeye Road, borders on 6th and Ward 4. And I've been living in that area for over 36 years. And it's unfortunate that this building has not been taken care of over the years like it should be. However, there was some good programs going on in that building for several years, because I lived on 130 in the Buckeye in the complex unit that's across from the Kenosha station. But now I just live up 116th Street. But I constantly get calls in reference to the nuisance of this building because it has not been taken care of over 15 years or so. And no one cared about that building. So I just got a call just yesterday with a resident that called and questioned me about the building and what's been going on with it. And she had no idea of the nuisance that the residents in that area that has been dealing with this building for several years. So there's a tons of a complaint that has been called in to 311 as well as to Council Griffin, and I've been taking them. We've had meetings. The Holy Grove Church set up meetings and concerns about the building. Residents had been there to comment about the building, the Morelands group, of course, has been involved. The 130 has involved. Uh, um, Bob Render, who's the precinct person, lives right on the next street, 128, and all businesses in that area have given complaint over the years and years and years. This building might have good bones on the inside, but no one has never taken the initiative to take care of this building to make it safe in the community that we all live in. It's a travesty that we're to this point that this building probably now needs to be demolished because of the severity of all the complaints that's been coming to the city and both councils that the owner of this building does not want to do anything with it and to invest in it to make it better, regardless of the good bones on the inside. So seeing all that is it's heartbreaking that this building probably needs to be demolished because it has caused such harsh situations around the building, as the gentleman who spoke about the deterioration of the building on the outside, the trash, the drug trafficking, the prostitution, and they have Director Margaret Toole have several times, and Tom Vanover have reached out to the owner to save the building, to do something with it, to clean it up. And listen, and through all the years that we've been dealing with this, we have not got any response of any care. And there's some residents have made a initiative to turn the building into some type of trading space, and that's great. But the funding itself that's going to come into this building to rehab it is greater than any of these residents that want to rehab this building because of income purposes. So we have thoroughly looked through every aspect of saving this building. Holy Grove Church have been working with it. The other buildings on that street have had enough of the harassment, of the prostitution, and the drug activity that this building has now brought to the community. But there's no one has stepped up to rehab or say that they have the funding to save this building. So now we come to this point that people that live in this neighborhood for many, many years, what can we do and where are we at? So this building is an eyesore now because no one has the funding to do anything with it, and the current owner don't give 2 cents about this building. So who's going to step up and buy this building and rehab it with the funding that it needs to have? No one able to do that, and no one wants to do that. So unfortunately, we're at this point. So I agree with Council President Griffin because we live in this neighborhood and we're trying to renovate this area that we have invested in already to renovate a lot of buildings and to bring it back to life. But this building, unfortunately, no one wants to touch. And if we can find somebody that can step up with $1 million plus to rehab this building and put a functional program in this building, I'm all in. But to this point, this is where we at. It's just an eyesore on the outside. It may have great bones on the inside, but no one is stepping up to buy this building to renovate it so we can use it in a productive manner in this community that we're trying to revitalize, bring the Buckeye area of thriving, invested to this community. So I agree with Councilman Frank Griffin. If it needs to be demolished, unfortunately, some buildings are being demolished and they have good bones because no one wants to invest in it. And we don't have the funding. The city is not going to invest in it. This is a this is a for-profit building. This is not a nonprofit organization. And it's unfortunate we're to this point. So I agree with Councilman Griffin. It's in this ward, but it borders on 4, and we are trying to revitalize everything we can to bring this neighborhood back to a safe environment so we can thrive in this community. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman. Other questions and comments from the commission?
Sorry, one last question. And I don't know if anybody here would know, maybe the councilwoman might know, if there is an entity out there that's interested in the parcel as a vacant lot, if the nonprofit has some plans for it, or if there's someone out there that's interested in the parcel, because at this point it would be a vacant lot.
When I was speaking with the owner at the site visit, he said that the church has been interested, and they wanted this building demolished so they could acquire it as a parking lot, is what they were told.
So that was the only other, that's the only other interested party. So,
Yes. That I'm aware of.
thank you.
Other questions and comments from the commission? Mr. Julik?
Just a real quick question, through the chair to Ms. Lipscomb. Should this body decide to approve a certificate of appropriateness for the demolition of this building, the owner would still have the right to appeal that demolition, correct?
So law cannot instruct this body to approve or deny an application. We can advise you on the framework in which you are to consider each application. Kind of what I went over earlier when it comes to demolitions and removals, but it wouldn't be our position or my position individually as the attorney here representing Landmarks to tell you which way to make your decision. Is ultimately, you consider all the different standards, the testimony that you've heard today, the conditions of the property, the nuisance issue. I mean, you kind of consider that in its totality, and then, discuss amongst yourselves whether or not it would be appropriate to approve, deny, or delay. In this case, if you decide to deny or delay, or at least if you decide to deny, then the applicant could always appeal. If you delay, it gives more opportunity for the applicant to maybe make some headway to see what are the plans for the property, if any. And obviously, if you approve, then the demolition moves forward. But that's sort of the options that you have available to you, but I cannot instruct you on which option to take.
Through the chair to Ms. Lipscomb, thank you. I was just looking for clarification about what rights the owner would have, I guess.
If it was approved, the
The
demolition.
demolition is approved. What
understand it
rights
was-
does the owner still have from an appeal perspective?
So they could appeal the decision to BOZA. That would be the next step, the owner of the property. But yeah, I mean, that's the extent of that. And if, depending on the circumstances there, they could appeal further, which the next step would be the Court of Common Pleas.
Thank you.
Would the owner also have the opportunity to appeal the condemnation through the Board of Building Standards?
They already have.
Done?
Well, they already have. And another thing is that if the owner wanted to stop the demolition, they can always file a lawsuit to stop the demolition and get some type of restraining order. And we do that all the time. Thank you.
Okay. Other questions and comments from the commission? Ms. Anderson?
My inclination is to give him a little more time, but not much. Because this has been going on for a while. You know, and I don't know if there's money through the state for that kind of training or, you know, I don't know, you know. It's probably, it concerns me that he's not here. I mean, he did seem really enthusiastic and, you know, it seems like he's in the trades, so he kind of hopefully has the expertise to, you know, get involved with the kind of project that he's talking about. And, you know, again, I think what you have here is you have probably other areas like the all-night gas station, which is a nuisance, and it kind of just bleeds over into this property because it's big, vacant, dark area where they can engage in mischief. It does help now that there is a fence around it, but my inclination is to give them a very limited amount of time and then, you know, proceed with the demolition, see whether he can, you know, rustle up some resources. But, you know, not indefinitely.
All right, thank you, Ms. Anderson. Mr. Stanberry?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I kind of agree with Ms. Anderson that this is the first, as far as I know, this is the first time this body has seen this come before us. And I don't know what efforts were made to invite the owner to this meeting other than a text or an email that was mentioned. I wasn't at the site visit, but it sounds like he was very enthusiastic at the site visit and he showed up there. He's also put up fencing around his building. So I would be inclined to give him a little more time as well. It does look like there has been some progress on his end, from what I've heard today. I wouldn't want to approve a demolition today.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stanberry. I would align with that. I think there's been efforts, you know, it's not a derelict owner who hasn't engaged, and we are all aware that this is not always the quickest process. So I would agree with someone putting forward a motion to table for a period of time, that we have to determine what that length is. The maximum is 6 months, correct? That we can table something to really have a heart-to-heart with the owner to say that they either have to step up and start making the investments or the building will be demolished. So I am also in favor of that. To do that, though, we would need the applicant's approval to table you to allow the owner to have that time. And if it's not proven, then you could come back and we would then make our vote at that time.
I don't have any problem with that.
Okay.
But may I say something?
Go ahead, Councilwoman. Yes?
I just want to make a comment about, I just want to make an extra comment about the fence, that he put the fence up. He did not put the fence up to preserve the building. He put the fence up due to, he was cited to put that fence up because of all the prostitution and the drug trafficking that was around the building constantly, and the squatters that was living in the building and the breaking in during that time. So it took years for him to even to put that fence up until he went through the complaints of building housing to force him to put that fence up, because it was horrible. Okay, that's why he was forced to put the fence up. Otherwise, there was nothing done on the owner's end to preserve and protect from squatters or drug traffickers or prostitutors to stop going in and out of that building. So that's why the fence is put up, from the protection of bodily harm being done inside of the building. I just want to
Understood.
be clear, okay?
Appreciate that, that feedback. We don't want to belabor this and stretch this out too long, but we do want to give the last ditch effort for the owner to make good on his intentions now, that we do have some momentum of movement. So with the approval already been granted from the owner, would someone like to put it forward a motion with the definition of the timetable that it would be tabled?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to table this applicant 3 months from now, a time limit of 3 months from now, to see progress, whether that is preliminary plans from an architect or
With a schedule?
a schedule. Yep. That'd be my motion.
All right, so we have a motion contingent on progress being made on the renovation of the building within the next 3 months for application of improvements. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. We have a second. Any further discussion?
Just some clarification. So the motion is to table this for 3 months so that the applicant can come back after 3 months if no progress has been made. Does the commission want to see evidence of that progress being made if it happens within those 3 months, or is it incumbent on the applicant to present that that progress has not been made? I guess just trying to get clarification about who's doing what moving forward.
I would ask that staff reach out to the owner and make sure that they understand the dire strait condition that this building is in and the need to demonstrate progress of the renovation to both the applicant, the demolition department, and to the Landmarks Commission, that there is a timetable and improvements that will happen to this building for all stated parties. Would
That's
be my
helpful.
recommendation.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, Mr. Mussing, can you please call roll?
Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Dulick,
Yes.
Councilmember Gray,
No,
Mr. Lull,
Yes.
Mr. Sandberry,
Yes.
Dr. Williams,
Yes.
and Ms. Trott.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes by a vote of 6-1.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and if you could share his contact info with us, that would be helpful. Thank you.
All right, then we will move on to our next applicant located at 1560 Mistletoe Drive, the Music Settlement. It's in the holiday spirit, I guess. Renovation addition.
All right, good morning, Peter Bohan with Prospectus Architecture.
Good morning.
And John Williams with Process Creative Studios.
Good morning.
Okay. So do I control?
You can.
Try. There's a lag, right?
Yes, sir. The leg. Dramatic pause. Usually. Jessica will try to fix it from her side if she.
There we go. Okay, we'll see. I may have advanced it twice now. Apparently I did. Okay. So we're back with the project for the music settlement at the corner of Wade Park and Mistletoe Drive. This shows that site location at that corner lot. This is a larger aerial view of that corner lot. Then the red outline indicates the overall music settlement campus, with the orange being the site of the proposed site for this project. This is an existing site plan. In orange is the existing historic Grease House. The blue areas then, the blue to the left is the existing, there's an existing one-story vinyl sided garage that houses their percussion instruction as well as some storage areas. And then the blue attached to the house is a later addition of a porch that we're proposing to be removed. These are just some photos of adjacent areas in a much warmer time. Upper left are some homes directly across the street to the north. Upper right are across the street and looking eastward. At the bottom left is a view from the west looking east at the site. So that dark brick home there in the center of the photo is immediately adjacent to the property. And then on the lower right-hand corner is a view to the south of the property looking back at some case buildings there. This is an aerial view now of the project site. Again, we've highlighted on the left is that one-story vinyl sided garage to be removed. And then attached to the house is that two-story porch addition that we're also looking at removing. These are some photos just sort of outlining the several different pieces there. You can see we've got a couple different types of brick. That steel fire escape will also be removed, allowing for the addition to be placed and the connection into the house to be located there. So this is the proposed footprint of the addition. I will note all this has stayed relatively the same from our previous presentation. The house plans and the addition plans have remained relatively the same. So in the red outline, the rectangle to the right is the existing house, which is being renovated with exterior restoration. The rectangle to the left then is the proposed addition. The intent here is to provide accessibility. So there is an entrance at grade level, as well as new restrooms and 3 large classrooms. This also then, right in the middle between the two, is an elevator providing accessibility to all levels. So the first level, the new addition is at grade, so that you can get up to the house via both a staircase and the elevator. The other level, second floor then, which we'll go to next, is all at the same elevation. So all of this is connected. Second floor is very similar to the first. So within the house, again, 3 instruction spaces. And then in the addition to the left, also 3 larger instruction spaces, as well as a glass enclosed lounge in sort of the lower right-hand corner there. That blue space is that lounge for parents and instructors. Third floor, we are bringing the elevator up to the 3rd floor for access. It is a fairly high ceiling space on that 3rd level. And we're looking at creating 2 instruction spaces on that 3rd level as well. The basement is really just mechanical and some storage space, electrical as well. So it really is just utility support for the project. No habitable spaces on that basement level. And the addition to the left, you can see that just the foundations, there's no basement. It's just a 1st and 2nd floor for the addition. There were some questions from this body about the nature of the restoration of the exterior of the house. So we've sort of gone top to bottom here to identify the intent of the restoration. We are restoring the dormers, restoring and potentially replacing the siding and trim, as well as the metal roof and flashing for those. Both the asphalt shingle roof and the flat roof are being replaced. Gutters and downspouts are to remain. And then replacing that sheathing and membrane at the flat roof area. For the windows, we are looking at restoring and repainting all the trim and casing, but replacing the sashes. And we're in the process of the detailed drawings of those replacements to assure that they are of the same similar appearance when they are replaced. Looking at restoring and replacing, repainting all of the wood trim. So we've got that belt course, a lot of the trim around that bay window and some of the overhangs. Then as far as the brick is concerned, there's a soldier course that we've identified there sort of at a water table level. Above that, we are cleaning all of the brick and we anticipate about a 75% repoint of the mortar joints. And then below that soldier course, again, cleaning the brick and probably repointing, we're anticipating 100% of those mortar joints. The mortar color and texture will match the existing, so we'll do all the testing and sampling for that. And then we are looking at repairing and repainting all of the doors that are to remain. This is a overall image sort of from the parking lot, looking at the three different buildings that we have here with the Burke Mansion to the left, Early Childhood Center, and then the existing Grease House to the right. And then the addition that we're proposing, and as it's illustrated in some of the renderings, is sort of filling in that missing tooth between Early Childhood and the Grease House for a little more comprehensive view of the campus. Okay, we're going to move to the exterior images. So we've made, this is, just to be clear, this is the image that was presented last time. We've got some revised images. Just wanted to have these for reference so that we go from one to the next. We have made some subtle, but we feel significant adjustments in the design, listening to comments both from this group, but also from the local design review, which we've visited twice now. We had comments primarily looking at centering on the brick color, the nature of that entrance point at the center for the addition, the way the addition is connecting to the house, and perhaps a softer transition there. The idea of a hyphen was referenced. The alignment and strengthening of some of the horizontal banding was also referenced, as well as some of the window proportions and how things were placed. So this was our previous design. I also note we've also worked on the coloration of some of the materials to be more in alignment with the existing coloration. Here, the red brick seems sort of a vibrant red when it's really sort of a darker red. That sample again. I was not taken by that. So it is a slightly darker reddish brick. So our new view from this angle then, again, sort of looking back at that building, we have adjusted the proposed brick color for the addition. It is still a darker gray brick, but it is a little warmer and softer in its tone, and has a little bit of a texture to it now. So we've reduced that contrast with the house color, and it's you'll see in some of the later photos we have the samples against some of the existing buildings on campus, and it starts to move a little bit closer and referential to some of those other buildings. There were some comments about softening the entrance point. So where previously we had sort of a very heavy brick coming all the way across, and the mass seemed a little more solid. We've now introduced some metal panel. We've brought the top of that, the parapet height, down a little bit, recessed it a bit from the side addition, warming up that portion and creating a little bit more of a transition from the red brick house to the dark brick addition. So that dark brick isn't immediately up against the red brick anymore. So that was in response to softening that entrance and creating that hyphen. So we've also, whereas we had the brick previously coming right up against the house, I'm just going to go back to this one, and that addition right up against the house, we have sort of created a little bit of a hyphen there. So there is a gap between the addition and the house, allowing that cornice line and the brick to return and separate that addition just a little bit. And also with the way those metal panels are coming in, provides that similar separation. Responding to some of the comments about strengthening the belt coursing and alignment with some of the horizontals. We have looked at some of the gaps in the metal panel, the seams, and have picked up on the cornice lines. All work from the top down. The cornice and gutter line, there's a seam and the top of the windows there bring along to the soldier course in the brick of the addition. Then that belt course that's sort of midline and just below the second floor windows is picked up with some seams in the metal panels, and then the alignment of that sort of mid-height mullion in the windows. And then by bringing that sort of frosted glass in, picking up that horizontal, not mimicking it exactly, but picking it up and carrying it through to the belt course in the brick. And then similarly, we've got some horizontal mullions at the first floor, picking up that belt course and carrying that through to the horizontal in the brick as well. And then also we'll see some of the portions of the windows where that lounge is, really trying to pick up on sort of the same proportion of the windows from the grease house. So there's a little bit more back and forth and communication between the two portions of the project here. This similar approach then was carried over. This is the view from the east, looking back across our patio, the addition, and the house. So where that transition point occurs, we've also brought that same approach here. So you can see that same metal panel, the same horizontals are being accented here, aligning with the house. That same hyphen is brought in to provide that separation, so we get a little bit better transition. And then also by creating that metal panel area and setting that back a little bit, the proportion of this addition, especially viewed from this side, has changed. There were some comments from this body that the addition felt a little bulky and didn't relate well. And I think there was even an indication that perhaps by creating sort of a more symmetrical portion to the addition, it may respond more to the front of the grease house as well. And so we feel that that adjustment has picked up on that relationship also. Before I move on, John, any comments I may have missed here?
No, you did a really good job. Very thorough. Thank you.
I will comment, we've been working, every monitor and every printer is a little bit different. The trim on some of these is appearing a little bit bright, I will say, and the intent is for it to match up more with sort of the off-white of the campus. So it is a little glaring on this monitor, and that was not the intent. So we'll continue to move here. We do have some elevations just sort of illustrating the pickup of those horizontal elements, and you can sort of see those carrying through much more strongly than they had in the past. We've got some of the materials. So here's the revised brick then. On the right, it's placed up against the grease house. We've got a much subtler but still distinct difference between the new proposed brick. But then up against, on the left is at the Burke Mansion, on the right is at early childhood, and you can see it relating a little more strongly to some of the darker brick components within those pieces.
I will just point out, since we're not looking at the plan, that the early childhood is the closest to this addition. And the fact that the early childhood brick is darker and more red, the gray, they seem to be familial. They, I think, will work better, and they will be the closest in proximity to each other.
I will note there was a comment about the size of the mortar joints on the early childhood and Burke Mansion as compared to what's on the grease house. And the intent would be to match those narrower mortar joints so that the bricks are in sort of the same proportion as they're carried through. Just another view of the materials, the brick, the existing brick, and then the intent that we'd be picking up on some of the trim color from buildings A, B, and C that are also on this campus and carrying those through to the proportion. Oh, too far. Okay. Oh, so that concludes my portion of the presentation outlining the adjustments we've made. So we'll turn it over to the commission for feedback.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. Before we move to our comments, we'll look at for the local design review committee recommendations.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This project was reviewed by the Greater Northeast Historic Design Review Advisory Committee on December 2nd. There was a lot of discussion on a few different elements. They did discuss the color of the brick proposed, wanting to see it's more complementary to the building that it is attached to. Did note that the hyphen did give a sense of separation and was helpful with a large addition to the home. And had a wider discussion on outreach with the community since it is a large addition at a corner of lots, a mistletoe and magnolia. And overall liked it, but wanted to see more details. So they had a very specific request that came out of that meeting to provide additional renderings showing views from the neighboring properties and kind of how it interacts in the neighborhood when it's completed. And so they did recommend the issuance of a certificate of appropriateness with a condition that the windows and roof return back through the entire process. And so return back to the Design Review Advisory Committee and then to the Landmarks Commission for final approval, since those details were not provided.
May I respond to one item there?
Yes.
I did forget to mention the music settlement has met directly with the immediate neighbor that's right next door to this. They reviewed the plans and renderings with them. They're very happy with the project as it's proposed. So I just wanted to include that. We weren't aware of that. I wasn't aware of that in our last meeting, so that's why I didn't make it to the notes, but we've since confirmed that with the owner.
Okay. And I'm sorry, Jessica, what were the conditions that the details be submitted and come through both processes again? I'm sorry, I missed.
Window details and roof color, I think they wanted to see. That's what I had in my notes. I
Yeah,
apologize.
the final material details for the roof and windows.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And then Landmark staff's recommendation?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, staff is excited to see the expansion of the facilities here. You know, great project. We do agree with the local that, you know, having the details of the windows and roof and those going back through the design review process is appropriate. And I think we largely just maintain the same comments we had at the schematic review that you know, detailed site plan showing the adjacent buildings, like the entire campus and how it relates to the buildings around it would be helpful. You know, color is always an issue. I think a more complementary color might help, but I understand what you guys are going for with the you know, it's that sort of, you know, does it complement or does it distinguish itself? And, you know, I think we just fall more on the, maybe more complementary would make us more comfortable, but, also, yeah, I think that, like local renderings from the street and the neighboring properties would be helpful. So we'd recommend tabling it until we have those additional details. Like the site plan would help us assess the site back for appropriateness as it relates to the neighboring properties. The views from the right of way and the neighboring residences would help us understand kind of what it's actually going to look like from the street. The renderings that are presented are you know, from inside the parking lot on the property. It's not how someone going through the districts will really experience it necessarily. So we think those would be helpful. So I mean, you know, we like the massing, we like the design, like the materials, the fenestration, it's all good. We just kind of want to better understand it and hammer down those details. So.
Okay.
If I may, we did create an image from Wade Park. I forgot to bring these out before. We weren't able to bring these in to the presentation, but this gives you a feel for Wade Park and the view with our hedgerow there and some of the street trees that are in the position. So it does, you know, set back nicely from Wade Park Avenue there. And the landscaping provides a nice buffer for the project as it sits on that property.
Right.
I apologize for not bringing those out earlier.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for sharing the rendering. That is helpful. We'll open up the floor to the commission for questions and comments. Who'd like to start us off? I guess I'll start. You know, I'd say, you know, thank you for listening to our feedback. I think some of the updates have really improved the design. I do appreciate the separation with the hyphen, you know, so that it does give a little bit of breadth between the two forms. Overall, I mean, I think the how you've pulled the existing building lines through has been successful. Minor things I might look at how the roof line, could also pull through your metal panels so that it, connects to, your brick detailing. The color is the only thing that I candidly is, the gray color of the hyphen is the only thing I personally a little struggling a little bit with. And I think if is it white, is it bone, is it, limestone tan, the existing building, and then how those two things relate. That's the only thing that I am personally just the one elements that I am just grappling with. But I do like how it does distinguish itself on the addition from the existing building, and it lets the details of the existing building, stand proud versus sort of get truncated. Overall though, I think I'm in support of the project. I would ask you the renderings here. Is this the only rendering that we were looking for? Or we're also from Mistletoe also?
Yeah, I think during the Design Review Advisory Committee meeting, it came up like seeing it from Mistletoe and then from the property that's located just to the right of where this image is, like what's the experience going to be kind of from their driveway or from the front of their house? Like how?
So not a straight on from Wade Park, but also the approach eastbound looking at the.
Yes, or a site plan that kind of shows where that house is in relationship to the addition to better understand how close they really are, and what impact that might have, and just to be able to assess the setback for its appropriateness along the street.
Got it. Understand. So overall, I am in support of the project and the direction you're going, but I would agree that some of those details are still needed for probably final approval, like the site plan. If we can't make a judgment call of how this relates to the setbacks of the property, we can't approve the project yet. But overall, I'm in support of the direction, the change of color, the definition or the inclusion of a hyphen. The one question I have is really, what is this? Is it a mechanical screen that you've added on the roof?
So there's a mechanical unit up there and the overrun of the elevator. The elevator going to the third floor. All of that is to. Yes, that is a mechanical screen, and we've changed the color so that it is faded back from the rest of the building.
So that is a different color than the metal panels?
That's the
A
intent
lighter.
right now, so that it feels very different and stays separate from the addition.
And are those two elements connected, or are they two separate elements?
They're adjacent and yeah, they are connected there at this side.
So it will look like one mass. Right now it's reading as two.
Yeah, I think there's a shadow line there from this side, but that would read as a single mass.
Okay. All right. That answers some of my questions. So thank you.
Madam Chair, I
Yes.
will just add a few comments if I could. Related, the feedback that we've gotten from both you and local has been wonderful. And of course, this is a design process and we were already on that path. And sometimes, as Peter noted, it's not just saying, hey, we want to do this, but it's trying to tweak even just the simple renderings because sometimes they just don't look perfect. And we focused on that to make sure that the horizontal alignments that had been there from almost day one read much better than they had. And the color, we have looked at probably, yes, 3 or 4 dozens of brick colors. And this is not a pushback, but our feeling is just both with the color of the metal and the color of the brick that we want to stand behind and be slightly muted so that grease gets more attention. And, you know, from this view, but also from the other view, when you look at it, it does look, especially now with the hyphen, which we love. And I'll just note that one of the nice things about redesign and thinking about design is removing that brick also saved our nonprofits some money. So we're all pretty thrilled about that. But again, you know, I'm afraid not to push back, but if we made that metal panel lighter, it would start to really, I think, punch out more. And we don't want that. And we've studied those things. And again, what do we do with that elevator? There's really not much we can do, and we need to have a fully ADA accessible building. So as I think somebody at the last meeting noted, and I apologize, or we apologize, we totally forgot about the other view from Marigold. Because somebody pointed out that when you're farther back, those elevators will be less visible because of the trees and because of the distance. So that rendering, and we'll do one, will probably make it look much nicer.
Sure. No, and my only question be if your material palette for the house is more of a sandstone, would a champagne versus an anodized be more appropriate so that you're pulling warm tones, or and maybe you looked at this, you know, together with your brick tones. That's just, those are the things as a designer in me that I think through in my head of how do you change the materials but still complement what, you know, is on the house. If you're
So the
the symbol.
storefront, we are looking at sort of a buff color.
Okay.
Taking that time down.
Okay, that's where I guess I was, if it was the metal panel and the storefront or just the storefront.
So in this image, and again, this is a photograph of materials, but actual materials, you can see that there's a pretty good balance between those two.
Mhm.
And this might be a case where it's not necessarily helpful for the people online, but actually seeing those materials, seeing that brick board in person might help to, I guess. Or do you have it? Also, if you could unmute. Thanks.
I do. You want, so this is the new brick, so a little bit softer, a little bit warmer than what we had before. We had a sort of a harder glazed brick previously. So it has toned it and softened it quite a bit.
That was the initial, and
Yeah.
then this is what we've moved it to.
So, you know, hearing the comments about warmer and softer is what we've been responding
Do you have the
to.
metal?
I don't have the other samples, I'm sorry. Separate bricks today. No other surprises. No.
I think that's helpful to see the brick. I think that's just the metal is the only thing, but I mean, overall, I'm in support of the project. So I'll open up the floor since I've monopolized the comments to others, questions and comments from the commission. Mr. Stanberry?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think my personal opinion, I think the hyphen is really good, a really good change, especially from this angle. I don't object to the color. I like the lighter color. The brick, I think, is still a little bit dark and cool. I like seeing the actual samples. I like the direction it's going, but I still feel it's a little bit too dark and cool. But overall, I like the direction from the angles we're seeing. I do still want to see from Wade Park. I want to see how that affects the residents nearby, and where that setback lands. If it's with the face of the overall alignment of the houses, or is it with the front porch? How does that relate?
Definitely setback from that line of the house.
That's
Think
why
by
I just
now
keep
we
mine
would
on.
notice
You're
that.
right, you know, just keep it on.
don't want to hear me coughing. It is definitely set back from the porch line that you see on the street. So it is back from that.
Yeah, overall, from the renderings we're seeing, I really like the direction this is going. Again, I personal opinion on the brick is a little bit dark, but yeah, overall, I'm in support of this project.
Okay, Mr. Dulick?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the applicants. I think that the incorporation of the comments from this body are always appreciated, and I think it's definitely going in the direction. I think the hyphen's really successful. And I think that the three tones is a really interesting design approach, going from the kind of two tones in color, though you do have the three, you have the roof. So I like the notion, at least as I'm seeing this brick and seeing it in the renderings. I'm not sure having the, is that the existing roof shingles? Or
We're replacing them, so
Okay, so
there will be a
replacing
new
them.
shingle. So we've
So,
got the
yeah, I would love
opportunity to align
see
these.
that color. I look in the rendering and I think that, well, the shingles obviously is at an angle, so it's going to feel different. I do think that that third tone, taking that and bringing it into the vertical and really bookending the hyphen with it and connecting to making the hyphen a tone between. Instinctively, that feels right. I would probably see how far you can, seeing the actual metal panels, how far you could push it a little bit towards the light. I'm not sure which one when it's relating to. So in some ways it's neither fish nor fowl, but that may be okay. And I definitely like the improvement. One quick question, the hyphen, the actual connector piece there where the downspouts coming down, and is that actually like a cricket or sloped roof that goes back along?
Yeah, we've got
the
a
facade? That's
little
cool.
slope roof cricket there, yeah.
That's
the
nice.
intent.
I mean, I think that connection really, just looking at the two renderings, that's kind of where I would come down and say that really feels successful. To get to the question of the tower, tonally, whether it's metal or even brick, I'd like to see it explored if you haven't already, and maybe you've just already rejected it, is the darker tone. Maybe even the brick. I feel like that I've got this red brick house with these very classic creamy pieces and details and sort of this matrix. And I've got these vertical brick chimneys. And I think that there's something about the vertical connecting tonally, at least, if not materially, just the elevator. I like that. But I'd like to see that tower. I don't know if the mechanical screens have to be as tall as that. Maybe they do.
Not quite.
If they don't, I think the mechanical screens, lowering them, just whatever you need to screen the mechanical, but maybe letting that brick tower go back to the new softened brown brick, kind of would give it that one little extra, just psychic connectivity to those vertical elements, I guess. It's a suggestion. I'd love to see it studied, especially because we're going to be looking at the rendering. So I think overall, you know, this is great, and we really are. I think the quality of the improvements to the partie and the design, the fact that we're able to comment, I think, in these terms, is a testament to what you've done. So thank you for that.
If I may, we did receive comments when we presented this. I can't remember if it was this body or design review, that the brick on that tower resembled too much a chimney and that we should probably move away from that. So we had it, we studied it, and actually we kind of like it going away more than being a presence. That it almost replicated the chimney too much. So I just wanted to be sure that, you know, everybody had that same reference.
Yeah, through the chair to the applicant, thank you for that. Yeah, I think what's, maybe it's that mechanical screen that's thrown me off a little bit. I think the other renderings will tell us, maybe, because obviously from Wade Park, you'd see the tower more in the context of the whole west facade of the building. So I think that will tell us an indication of where, I mean,
We can try a couple different angles, but, you know, from Wade Park here, and this is from sort of a little more direct view, those are set pretty far back from that north elevation. So we're not getting, when we look at setting up this angle, we're really not catching a lot of that from Wade Park, which was nice.
Like to see it. Thanks, but
Appreciate the comment.
overall, definitely in support.
Just to clarify, is it your comments? Am I hearing it correctly that you want the overrun and or the mechanical to be in the same family of the brick or the roofing so that it sort of goes to the background?
Thank you,
Or is
madam.
it the material that, and just so that we're giving clear direction of is like.
It's
that's-
more studying the tonality of it, because right now, is it yet lighter still than
The intent of the image here is that it is a little bit lighter than the hyphen, in order to visually separate the two. We went through a lot of different versions
Yeah.
of this, and whenever it was the same color as the hyphen, it sort of added mass. And with the comment, which we agree with, to sort of lighten and soften that entry point, having those relate to one another really just sort of added to that mass. And we tried it darker. And we found that the lighter version sort of set it back and let that entrance have a little more prominence.
If we did,
You're going to want to unmute, John.
Yeah.
might not. If we did the rendering per 90% of the sky color in Cleveland, it would be that gray and it would disappear. And I say that humorously, but there's also some design intent to that.
Mhm.
So we show it on a blue sky, and yes, I think we are getting more blue, but for the most part, that we want that to disappear. And we even talked about using mirrors.
I haven't done that yet, but
But we like the
Well,
lighter
often try.
approach.
Well, that's fair enough. Either way, I think it wants to be something other than the hyphen to that point. But I do think the differentiation between the tower and the mechanical, I think that being a singular element that blends with the sky is fine. And metal's good, because it's new. So anyways, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Julik. Other questions and comments? Ms. Anderson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I still have concerns about the scale of the overall building. And I think that makes it kind of tricky to, have the conversation with the existing building because of the scale. I'm disappointed with the metal panels. I think the consistency of the brick worked better with the consistency of the brick existing building. Maybe because I'm not an architect, but I think the color variation that you have on the new brick is a distinction without a difference. And I would support something that is more in keeping with the brick in the area, the color brick in the area, texture brick in the area. I guess you do have some texture in the new one. But I don't think this achieves it. And I don't think an exact match of the brick of the existing is advisable. You're not going to do that. But I think somebody with some color skills could probably find something in that family that would complement it. And, as opposed to, the building distinguishes itself in just the design from the existing, and it already distinguishes itself. So I think there needs to be more of a conversation, and I think the color brick would do it. I agree with Mr. Dulick's comments about the chimney, and I appreciate on the other rendering of you stepping the building back a little bit. But yeah, those are my comments.
Any questions and comments?
Hello, my name is Julie Crishone. I'm the owner's rep for the project. And I just wanted to point out, and so that the commission can understand that the leadership, the committees that support the music settlement have all very carefully looked at the brick color. And I think that seeing it in situ in the environment and looking at the other buildings is really important. And it's difficult for the design team to really convey the amount of thought and the actual work that went into selecting this brick. And we did have countless meetings with many representatives of the owner, of the board, the architects. I think our architects have done a great job as far as having their understanding of the aesthetic and the color tonality. And it is very difficult to convey this in renderings. And I'm not suggesting that all of you come out to the site, but I just want to make sure that everybody understands how seriously we've taken the comments and the amount of work that has actually gone into the selections that you see before you today. And if it's possible, we are very interested, as far as the size of the building. Again, the team has done what they can to break down the scale. It's very programmatically important that the size of the building, meet the requirements and needs of the music settlement. And, to the extent that they've done their best to deal with the massing, I think has, been very successful. So I just ask that you consider that in your vote. Thank you.
Thank you for that feedback. Any other questions and comments from the commission, or someone like to put forward a motion? Mr. Dulick?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question through the chair to the staff about what the recommendations of the Design Review Advisory Committee was for regarding both the windows, but also renderings. If you could just want some clarity on that, if we could.
Oh, yes, through the chair. So the local committee discussed different renderings, but the official motion was for the windows and roof details to return. So they did not include the renderings or additional drawings in their motion. They're just discussed.
Is that through the chair? Was that a recommendation or requirement, a recommendation of the DRAC?
It was a condition or requirement to return with the details.
Okay.
And so their body makes recommendations to the Landmarks Commission. So if it is up to you guys, if you wanted to approve the entire project, the windows, roofing, all of it, without seeing those details, that's within your rights. Or you could say we're approving everything except the windows and the roofing to go, and that would go back through the process.
Or we
So
can
that's-
approve with those details coming to staff
Yes.
instead
yeah,
of having to come fully back to
Yes.
this committee and the commission and for presentation.
Yes, yeah. The local committee just recommended issuing a certificate of appropriateness for the project, with the exception of the windows and roof. They wanted to see those go back through the process, but it's up to this body whether they include that condition in any approvals they would grant.
Right.
If I may, that the applicant would be in agreement with that approach. We are eager to continue the process, submit for permits and get this underway. So we would certainly appreciate that next step. Just wanted to share.
And has a
Great.
site plan been submitted with any of the material?
We've had, there was an existing site plan. I don't know that we've got the new site plan shown yet, but we would certainly be happy to bring that to staff and review those setbacks and assure that, I think it was on one of the early plans. I'm trying. There's a delay. So the adjacent buildings weren't shown on this plan. I think they were shown on one of the earlier plans. Yeah, not clearly shown and the porches aren't shown. So I mean, that's something we can certainly bring together and would be happy to bring that back to staff to review.
Does staff feel comfortable with reviewing that?
Yes, I mean, if the commission's comfortable with what's been presented and I guess the direction and there aren't concerns about any of those elements, then yeah, staff is happy to make those final reviews.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Julik, does that clarify your questions?
Madam Chair, yes, it did. Thank you. And giving full faith and credit to the ability of our landmark staff to review in detail the questions in hand, I would like to make a motion to approve as presented with the requirement that the additional renderings, the final materials and colors, and the details and materials of the windows and roofs be submitted for final approval and review by landmark staff.
And can I add one condition? If they are not comfortable with the direction that those final details are submitted, that they reserve the right to bring them back to the commission.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we have a motion with a condition. Did you mention the window details? Okay, thank you.
Window, roof.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. So we have a motion with conditions. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, thank you. We have a second. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. Mr. Musson, please call roll.
Ms. Anderson,
No.
Mr. Julik,
Yes.
Councilmember Gray,
Yes.
Mr. Lull,
Yes.
Mr. Sandberg,
Yes.
Dr. Williams,
Yes.
and Ms. Trot.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes by a vote of 6-1.
All right, congratulations. We look forward to seeing your project move forward. That concludes our certificates of appropriateness. So we will then move on to our Cleveland landmark nominations. We are going to change the order of our review. We're actually going to start with the second Mount Olive Baptist Church review first. We'll then move on to the Mount Murray Baptist Church, and then we will come back to the Oswald Cam Building nomination. So we'd like to welcome the second Mount Olive Baptist Church to join us.
Good morning, everybody. Carl Brunges, Landmark staff, pastor. Good morning. Pastor Norris, who is Second Mount Olive Baptist Church. Thank you all for this. This is nomination for Second Mount Olive Baptist Church at 757 Eddy Road. Oh, yeah, I noticed that. Okay, the property is located in the Glenville Statistical Planning Area. It's currently in Ward 10, but with realignment, it will be in Ward 9 next year. Transylvanian Saxons were ethnic Germans who moved to the Kingdom of Hungary beginning in the 12th century. In the mid-19th century, there were changes in cultural philosophy in Hungary as Magyarization was causing the destruction of non-Hungarian culture. The late 19th to early 20th century saw Saxon immigration to America in large numbers. After various wars and treaties, Transylvania now lies within modern Romania. Hans or John Floysel immigrated to America from Transylvania in 1921. Upon arrival, he set out to create a new congregation serving Transylvania Saxons. Shortly after, many families realized that they would be making their permanent home in America following World War I. The first meeting was held at Saxonheim Hall on Denison Avenue on June 4th, 1922, and St. John's Evangelical Lutheran Church was formally organized June 9th with 63 members. They moved to different locations before a parsonage at 757 Eddy Road was purchased. It'd be here that the congregation would meet until their new church was completed. I just want to take a moment to thank Rebecca Whistler at the Northeastern Ohio Synod Archives for all of her assistance in reviewing the St. John's Church records, scanning documents, and translating them from the original German. Plans were announced for the new church on January 1923, but a permit was not applied for until May 2nd, 1924, when it was obtained by contractor Charles Russell Moody. He was listed as a carpenter contractor in the city directories and census records for about 3 decades. The architect, according to church documents, was Pastor Frederick Francis Hayworth in Baden-Conway, Pennsylvania. There is no other documentation of buildings that he designed. Construction began on May 3rd, 1924, but during the construction process, an advertisement for building contractors interested in church buildings to send bids was printed on July 27th, 1924. This appears to have delayed the cornerstone ceremony to September 7th, but construction was quick and completed on January 2nd, 1925. This was the first church built by Transylvanian Saxons in the United States. Whistler was the pastor for the congregation for 37 years, retiring in the fall of 1959 after some health issues. During that span, he became a published author of Saxons Through 17th Century, A History of the Transylvanian Saxons in 1936, and organized the German-American Resettlement Services, Inc., which was formed to aid and assist needy displaced persons of German ethnic origin whose lives were disrupted by political changes in post-war Europe. An addition for the church was designed in 1948 by architect Julius Bernisch, but not executed. Oops. Hang on a second. After Foyce's retirement and moved to pastor emeritus, Dr. Henry Hodel took over the helm of the congregation in May 1960. It was soon after that the congregation looked to a new location east of the city following its members, including the Foyces who had relocated to the suburbs. The building was sold to Second Mount Olive Baptist Church, and the Saxons moved to temporary quarters at the American Legion Hall in South Euclid. A new church was completed in 1963 at 1000 Ford Drive, Highland Heights. They remained here to celebrate 100 years on September 18th, 2022. 1 month later, on October 30th, the congregation officially closed. Second Baptist Church was organized on October 18th, 1917, with 11 charter members in a storefront on East 38th Street between Scoville and Central Avenues. It appears that these families had relocated from Alabama early in the first Great Migration and formed the fellowship almost immediately upon arrival. Later, they moved to an old house which had been used as the Sir Moses Montefiore Hebrew School at 2495 East 35th Street behind Corey Methodist Church. In April 1920, Reverend J.E.A. Wilson paid $3,000 down on the $23,000 purchase price for the Second German Evangelical Protestant Church of St. Paul. In June, the Cleveland Baptist City Mission Society acquired the property at the corner of Scoville Avenue and East 28th Street for the congregation. In October 1926, the congregation officially became the owners of the church when the now named Cleveland Baptist Association sold the property to them for $13,000. The church grew and prospered over the next 3 decades, but their time here would be coming to an end. The 1950s and 60s were a time of urban renewal and slum clearance bolstered by the Federal Housing Act of 1949. Second Mount Olive's clock to leave started with the adoption of the St. Vincent Center Urban Renewal Project in November 15th, 1957. You can see where they are circled in yellow there. The project stretched from East 19th to East 33rd Street between Woodland and Central Avenues. The city began making land purchases in 1958. Originally slated for housing targeting professionals working downtown and at St. Vincent's Hospital, reported rental difficulties in the Longwood and Garden Valley urban renewal projects led the Federal Housing Administration to deny mortgages in the St. Vincent area. No longer considered for housing, the land was offered to Cuyahoga Community College, which was looking for a suitable site for a new campus. The church property now sits within that footprint. On January 12, 1961, the church sold the property to the city and prepared to move to their new home. On April 4th, 1961, Second Mount Olive Baptist Church received the property on Eddy Road and celebrated with an open house and ribbon cutting on June 8th. They have been in the building ever since, serving the community in the past, hosting a Head Start program, Boy Scouts daycare service, and voter registration drives during the 1960s civil rights era. They continue to service their service by providing a community pantry, an outreach event for seniors, a 7-week youth mentoring program, and hosting ward community meetings. And we have our current conditions as of a couple months ago. It maintains its integrity. Front doors have been changed. Other than that, our interiors. Beautiful stained glass and the pipe organ. These are all original features from the Saxons. Looking at our criteria for nomination, we've had 3 that are pointed out, and staff will discuss that as well. And our sources. And I'd like to turn it over to the pastor for his comments.
Thank you. As you can see, our church is very old. We're trying to preserve the legacy of the church for future generations. We try to ensure that the historical identity of the congregation is not erased by getting grants to upgrade the church, to stabilize the church's role as a community pillar for decades to come. We support Black history programs. We have community meetings with our council members. We want our church to be presentable. When you guys come, we want to be to take care of you, roll out the red carpet, but mainly we want to make sure that the community looks good by keeping up the other church. We have a parking lot. We can only use half of the parking lot because back end of the parking lot, it's just crumbled up, and then we have another fence problem. That's another story where the city tore down a building and tore a fence down. So now we got cars being stolen and windows being broken, but that's another time we'll talk about. But yeah, that's what we are trying to get. Make sure that our church can be a historical church. I think we're 101 years old. I've been a pastor for 9 years. We want to attract visitors to the community. We want to strengthen the city's reputation and those things. And so that's where we are. I'm not familiar with a lot of this. I did a lot of research, so I didn't want to come here and not know what I was talking about. But Carl helped us out so much. I thank God for him. He's been a great help. But that's where we are at the Second Mount Olive Baptist Church.
Thank you for the words.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for those comments. We appreciate it. And
Yeah.
Especially about Carl. On Landmark Commission staff recommendations.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess staff would just like to thank the congregation for its stewardship of the building and contributions to the community. We would recommend nomination of this property under the criteria you can see up there. It's character, interest, or values, permanent development, heritage, or cultural characteristics of the city. We feel that it exemplifies the cultural, economic, social, and historic heritage of the city.
Oh, yes.
And its location, singular physical characteristics represent the establishment of a familiar feature of the community or neighborhood. We recommend nomination.
All right, excellent. Thank you. We'll then open up the floor to the commission for questions and comments. Who'd like to start us off? All right, I will start. I think it's a beautiful facility, and obviously you've demonstrated through your comments and also Carl's research the the impact that this structure and your organization has had in the community. And you've maintained the character and it has been maintained through the years because of the love of this building. So I am in support of the nomination. Other questions and comments? Not seeing anyone. Would someone like to make a motion for?
For nomination.
Okay, I was gonna say, okay, that's what I was gonna say, to make sure I did it right. A motion for nomination.
I move to for the nomination to move forward.
All right, so now we have a motion. Do you have a second? Mr. Dulick?
I will second.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. Mr. Musson, please call roll.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Dulick? Yes. Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Lull?
Yes.
Dr. Williams?
Yes.
And Ms. Trott?
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Well, congratulations, and we look forward to seeing your establishment continue to thrive. Thank you. Carl's gonna stay. Okay. All right, then we will move on to our next nomination of Mount Moriah Baptist Church.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First off, I'd like to have the folks here who have attended and have been waiting patiently all morning to
Thank you for waiting and joining us.
introduce yourselves.
Hello, I'm Reverend Dan Smith, pastor emeritus of Mount Moriah Baptist Church, retired about a year. But I've been a member of Mount Moriah since 1960. That's the only church I belong to since I've been in the state of Cleveland.
Wow.
Up through the ranks, first year, prime member, deacon, what have you. That's been my home, away from home. So,
Well, thank you for joining us today.
thank you.
For a second. Glad you brought that. All right, Mount Moriah Baptist Church, 10101 St. Clair Avenue. This church is also located in the Glenville Statistical Planning Area and in Ward 9. It is at the corner of St. Clair Avenue and East 101st Street. The congregation began as a mission when a few people met at the home of Edward and Mary Catley at 2235 East 70th Street in 1946. On January 8th, 1947, before a large audience assembled in the main auditorium of Second Mount Sinai Baptist Church, the pastor, Reverend David W. Hill, assisted by other ministers of the city, organized Mount Moriah Baptist Church. Reverend Ulysses Just G. Eves, former assistant pastor at Second Mount Sinai, was called to be the pastor. The congregation had been meeting at the Turner Gospel Singers Auditorium at 3212 Woodland Avenue before acquiring Max Berry's 40th Street Mission, aka Max Berry's Tabernacle, at 2522 East 40th Street, pictured here. Elizabeth Sarah Maxbury was an evangelist with the African Methodist Episcopal Zion denomination, preaching all over the Midwest and East Coast, and was referred to as Zion Gospel's whirlwind preacher. She had been preaching for more than 15 years when she purchased this property in 1943. Moriah's time on East 40th would be short-lived. After the passage of the Federal Housing Act of 1949, Cleveland was involved in multiple urban renewal projects in 1954, including the Interbelt Highway Area B and Area K that would displace large amounts of African American residents. The City of Cleveland adopted the Longwood Urban Renewal Project on September 2nd. This plan called for some clearance and redevelopment of Area B between East 33rd and East 40th Streets, Scoville Avenue on the north, and Woodland Avenue on the south, which is about 39 acres. This included the demolition of about 300 buildings and would affect about 1,000 families. Mount Moriah's location on the west side of East 40th Street placed it on the eastern boundary of the project, necessitating finding a new location. The church sold the property to the city in October of 1954 and moved to the Glenville neighborhood. The 10th German Reformed Church was formed in 1896, with the church being completed the following year. They became known as the Glenville Evangelical and Reformed Church after the merger of the Evangelical Synod of North America and the Synod of the Reformed Church of the United States in 1934. In 1944, Reverend Roy Gieselman was called to serve both this congregation and North Congregational Church at East 72nd and St. Clair. The following year, these two congregations were officially united when the Plain Dealer referred to as a project dramatizing in miniature the proposed union of the Congregational Christian and Evangelical and Reformed denominations. Due to declining members, a decade later, the two congregations would split and merge with others within their own denominations. 3 years after that split, the merger of the two denominations to create the United Church of Christ, and that became official then. In 1962, membership had increased to a point where the current building was no longer adequate. It was decided to demolish the old building to create a new one. They hired an architect who was still in the first decade of his practice to design it. Robert P. Madison is a significant figure in the world of architecture, despite facing racism early in his education and career. He is a Cleveland native, born in 1923. Following in his father's path, he attended college at Howard University. He placed his studies on hold to serve in the Army in a segregated unit during World War II. In 1946, he was initially denied admission to Western Reserve University's School of Architecture due to his race. He was finally admitted after returning in his military uniform, including his Purple Heart and 3 battle ribbons. He became the first African American to graduate from the program, and despite his awards, local architecture firms refused to let him complete an application. He was finally hired by architect Robert A. Little after offering to work for free. In 1950, he became the first African American registered to practice architecture in Ohio. He returned to Howard University and earned his master's degree in 1952, won a Fulbright fellowship to study at the École des Beaux-Arts in Paris. I always trip over that. On his return, he accepted a faculty position at Howard University. In 1954, he founded the first Black-owned architectural firm in Ohio and the 10th in the United States, operating out of a house at 1335 East 105th Street. He was later joined by his brothers Julian and Bernard, graduates of the School of Architecture and Engineering at Howard University, to form Madison Architects and Engineers. Throughout the 1960s, the firm earned commissions locally, nationally, and internationally. Bernard left for Baltimore in 1970 to start his own business, and the company was renamed Robert P. Madison International, Inc. In 1982, it was one of the largest minority-owned architecture and engineering firms headquartered in the United States. Julian left Cleveland in 1983 to oversee branch offices in Detroit, Milwaukee, and Chicago. Robert P. Madison International continues to contribute significantly to the architectural landscape of Cleveland. The firm has trained some 200 African-American architects, engineers, and planners since its inception. Madison founded the Ohio Association of Minority Architects and launched the Robert P. Madison Scholarship for Architecture for African Americans. He has been lauded multiple times for his contributions throughout his groundbreaking career. In May of 1963, the congregation began using their church, and they were greeted with the creations of another significant artist. Douglas Phillips moved to Cleveland when he was 17. After serving in the Army during World War II, he returned to Cleveland and attended the Cleveland Institute of Art and later Syracuse University, studying portraiture and illustration. He is believed to be the only African-American artist to run his own stained glass studio in Ohio and perhaps the nation between the years of 1952 and 1995. Phillips' stained glass studio had a reputation for museum quality restoration and was receiving a large number of commissions for religious and secular buildings within Ohio and in other states throughout the United States and England. Phillips was particularly adept at fusing traditional religious symbols with a more contemporary approach to lines and color. He broke from traditional Gothic themes and incorporated the energy from his fascination with the space program, jazz, and modern art. He introduced dynamic form and sweeping ribbons of color into stained glass beginning in the mid-1950s. In an article for Ebony Magazine comparing painting and stained glass in 1971, he noted, "In viewing stained glass, your eye experiences light that has passed through the entirety of the glass. The beauty depends not just on the intensity and direction of the sun, but also on the depths and nuances of color inside the glass." Not only did he work in portraiture and stained glass, but also in lighting. He was involved in the General Electric Christmas lighting display at Neela Park for 16 years, which unfortunately we have learned did not return this year after 100 years. He was a member of the Stained Glass Association of America and the Illuminating Engineering Society of North America. He was also elected to the Royal Society of Arts in England. The example that is shown here is from Greater Friendship Baptist Church, which we reviewed earlier for its National Register nomination, which was formerly the first evangelical and reformed church. And that's the congregation that the Glenville congregation merged into when they left the previous building for this one. So everything's tied together. Now in this building for more than 6 decades, the congregation has been an anchor to the community, providing support programs and celebrating cultural identity. And here's our building. The old parsonage is still located at the rear of the property. No information on that yet. That might be additional, but the stained glass on the front may need some restoration. It looks like there's been some water damage. And then some interior photos. And then some more on the stained glass. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the presentation. We will then hear from staff.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, staff would just like to, again, thank the congregation for its continued care of this fine example of Robert P. Madison's work. We'd recommend approval based on the nomination criteria you see up there, but really primarily with its association with the work of a master, which we consider Robert P. Madison to be.
Excellent, thank you. We will then open up the floor to the commission for questions and comments. I guess I will comment. I echo, what staff, highlighted and obviously came through Carl's research. It's a beautiful building and your history in the area. Although very serpentine has led back to connecting different aspects of, gems throughout our community. So I am in full support of the nomination. Other questions and comments from the commission? Dr. Williams.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to echo the spirit of some of the earlier comments in saying that I'm happy to see that the church has received the nomination for landmark status, especially since it is one of the buildings that's associated with the career of Robert P. Madison. I know the Louis Stokes wing of the Cleveland Public Library, a lot of the buildings downtown, things related to RTA, all of those have gotten a lot of attention in recent years, but the sacred landmarks are also something that a lot of those of us who love local history are really proud of. And I'm glad that he is receiving this kind of recognition for those churches in his lifetime at the tender age of 102. So thank you very much for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Mr. Philip?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to echo that, and it's really an honor to honor Mr. Madison.
Thank you, Mr. Dooley. Other questions and comments from the commission, or would someone like to make a motion for nomination? Mr. Dooley?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for the nomination of this church as a Cleveland landmark.
Excellent. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. So we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? All right, not seeing any. Mr. Muslim?
All right, Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Dulick?
Yes.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Lull?
Yes.
Dr. Williams?
Yes.
And Ms. Trot?
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Congratulations.
And just a little housekeeping, if I could ask you guys to please sign in, just so we can have your names on our record, that would be helpful. Thank you.
And thank you for coming in person. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
And your patience.
I'm up here.
All right, well then we will give a minute for everyone to sign in, but then prepare for our first nomination, or the nomination that is listed first on our agenda, which is the Oswald Cam building.
Just like to note for the record that Mr. Lull is recusing himself.
Yes, I'll be
Over to the
recusing
other
myself.
side of the table.
All right,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you. Okay. Good. Go ahead, Mr.
All right. Let's see here.
Dramatic pause, just
Yes.
remember.
All right, so today I'll be presenting on the Oswald Cam building for landmark designation. And I'm Nate Lull, Far West City Planner for the City of Cleveland. So the location that we're at today is 17209 Lorraine Avenue. This is in the Camps Corners neighborhood. This is close to the Rocky River Betcher Parks Reservation, as well as very close to Cleveland Clinic Fairview Hospital. And a little bit about West Park's background. West Park has a storied history starting out as Rockport Township in 1819, which originally included the municipalities of Lakewood, Rocky River, Lindale, and Fairview Park. West Park became a township and a village as it grew over time slowly. Finally, as the area reached about 5,000 residents, became the city of West Park in 1921 until it was annexed into the city of Cleveland in 1923. Voters that were residents in West Park at the time were said to be lured by promises of better infrastructure, including paved roads, streetlights, lower streetcar fares, among other reasons. Today, West Park is recognized as having 4 sub-neighborhoods, Camps Corners, which we're talking about today, Jefferson, Bel Air, Puritas, and Hopkins. So today we'll be looking at how Camps Corners came to be over time due to the contributions of Oswald Cam. So in 1867, Oswald Cam emigrated from the village of Elm, Switzerland to Cleveland, Ohio. As he settled in the area, he worked as a grocery clerk on the near west side in present-day Duck Island. He was listed at 476 and 478 Lorraine Avenue from at least 1869 to 1873. In 1874, he purchased 4 acres in Rockport Township at Riverside Avenue, which is today Rocky River Drive, and Lorraine Avenue. He may have built the store himself, or he could have purchased the original building with the land. We don't know for a fact. Just prior to this, Cam was married to Louise Anna Clow, who was a descendant of the local Colburn family. The Colburns were major landowners in Rockport Township at the time. The couple went on to have 5 children, 3 of which outlived them. In 1886, it was reported by 5 newspapers that Cam had become the local postmaster general under the Grover Cleveland administration, and thus his general store also became the local post office for Rockport Township. This new venture required Cam to wake up at 4 a.m. every morning to get to the Nickel Plate Railroad Station in present-day Rocky River to pick up mail and return to his store by 6 a.m. All postage to the area was marked for Cam's, Ohio, and Cam's store became an important stop for residents and travelers. This is where the name Cam's Corners comes from. And so here's a photo of what we believe to be the original store, which would have been on Riverside Avenue.
And it originally faced Riverside Avenue because that was actually the more heavily traveled road at the time, more so than Lorraine. Cam would have opened the store in either 1874 or 1875. We don't know when this original building was built or demolished, but records indicate he may have purchased the land also from the Colbruns, which again were his, relatives-in-law, as they were shown as the owners of the land in 1858. They had purchased this land from another early Rockport settler named Henry Alger. And then here we get to the building that stands today. So here's Cam's store and post office about 10 years after completion. We didn't find any references about the new store to confirm the build year. We believe it was constructed anywhere from 1898 to 1900. The original store likely remained while the new building was under construction. The building itself is a 2.5-story wood frame building with a hipped gable roof and dormers on the top. We couldn't find a builder either, but the Colbrun family was said to be contractors and builders by trade. Thus, it's possible that they contributed to the construction given the family ties. And then here's a postcard from 1911. In the late 1890s, when West Park or Rockport Township gained rail service, Cam's post office became an interurban stop of the Cleveland Southwestern Columbus Railway Company, which at the time was the second largest operator of interurban railways in Ohio. In the early 20th century, streetcars and rail lines were a main source of public transportation. Cam's stop linked nearby Pier de Springs Park and ran south towards Berea. The development of the streetcar is commonly credited with further commercial and residential development in Cleveland, and thus allowed West Park to begin an era of building that would see it achieve city status in 1921. Cam's building became a place of gathering for locals who needed daily goods or to send mail, and was now more easily accessible via the streetcar. And here's a map from 1898. This shows that there was streetcar service in the area at the time. That would just have been beginning. And the area around it is very rural, mostly farmland. Very little infrastructure in terms of streetlights or paved roads. But you can see Cam's building at the southwestern corner. And then here's a photo from a plat map from 1912. You can see that there are other buildings on the property as soon as 1912. Where the arrow is pointing to is an apartment building known as Cam's Terrace, which he constructed in about 1909. The area was slowly being, subdivided, and plans were underway to, grow the area in terms of residential and commercial development. Mainly residential development was focused along Rocky River Drive or Riverside Avenue at the time, and commercial development was more so focused on Lorraine Avenue. So this is a plat map from 1938, and by this time, Cam and his wife had passed away. The properties were split amongst descendants of Cam. Other uses developed on the land included a gas station and an office building, and additionally, his house, which originally faced Lorraine Avenue, was moved in about 1925 to where that arrow is pointing along Fernshaw Avenue. And then here are just some photos of the other properties associated with Cam, not up for landmark today, but you can see his house there on the left still stands, as well as the apartment building. Him and his family are buried nearby in Alger Cemetery, just down the street. And I should also say that Cam passed away in 1922 at age 77, just 2 weeks after West Park residents voted in favor of annexing into the city of Cleveland. Over the course of Cam's life, he witnessed Little Rockport Township, a rural farming area with scenic views of the Rocky River, become a hamlet, village, and eventually its own city of about 5,000 residents. And he really personally developed his land over time in a way that reflected the changing area. So moving on to sort of the post-Cam era of the property or the building. Originally, it was home to a lunch hall named Rockport Kelly's, which was very short-lived in the 1930s. It was then a barber shop from at least 1937 to 1952. And then in the 1940s, it also became a dance hall known as Bender's Cafe, operated from about 1940 to 1947. Of note, in 1944, a one-story addition was erected to add a kitchen to Bender's Cafe, which connected to the original building and replaced an earlier storage like shed on the property. And then there's an aerial photograph from 1949, which shows the CAM building at the corner. The area at this time obviously had become a lot more developed, and you can also see the 1944 addition there. So moving on to sort of the second period of prominence for this building, this period is perhaps more recalled by local residents today. It was known as Tony's Spaghetti House and Tony's Restaurant. It began as Tony's Spaghetti House in the late 1940s. It was started by the local Zappone family, who ran several other businesses in the area known as Tony's Diner and Mr. Z's, which were popular restaurants. Tony's Restaurant changed their name at some point and operated approximately from 1947 to 1997. And here are just some more photos of Tony's at the time. Records show that the Zappone family purchased the buildings in 1962, which is when the second owner, George Zuck, is believed to have taken over the business. And then in 1975, there was an addition proposed to be put on the building by Mr. Zuck to erect a new seating area for Tony's Restaurant. It's at this point that the 1944 kitchen addition was demolished. The new addition was designed by Rudolph J. Orgler Associates, who are also credited with the 1961 rebuild of the Theatrical Grill on Vincent Avenue. The construction of the addition was completed by A. Siegler and Sons Company and cost about $100,000. And then here we found some architectural blueprints from that 1975 edition in our Board of Zoning Appeals office. And then there was also an addition made in 1980. This time it was to expand a kitchen area. This area of the building originally was an enclosed porch with a second-story balcony. But by 1980, it's believed that that addition was, or that porch was removed, and it was sort of like a courtyard area for the restaurant. So in 1980, they constructed this additional part of the building, which would have operated as an expanded kitchen. And then moving to 1997, there was a fire that shuttered Tony's property, and the property owners didn't have a timeline for reopening. Almost 2 years later, a local developer named Jim Carney, in working with Cam's Corners Development Corporation and the city's storefront renovation program, rehabilitated the property to more closely reflect its original appearance, including a historically accurate paint scheme for approximately $400,000. The redesigned building pays homage to both Cam's original building and to the additions as Tony's. And then here's some photos we found from the storefront renovation program time. In the upper left, you can see the building likely in the 1990s. And the bottom left image, though it's probably hard to see, was the proposed design originally from storefront renovation program staff member Tim Barrett. In the proposed design, the building would be realigned to have the entrance at the corner of the street, keeping in character with its appearance during the Bender Cafe and Tony's days. However, ultimately, a more symmetrical appearance was agreed on, with the building's entry squarely placed in the middle of the front facade. Notably, the original building did not have a symmetrical front facade. It was offset with two proportional storefront windows east of the entrance, and then one smaller window to the west. Also, originally, the transoms on the building were much longer, and then the bulkheads were lower. And then here are just some pictures of the building today and how it stands. And then there's the 1975 edition. And there was also an edition made in 2010, which was a just like an exterior, basically like a bar addition made, a tiki bar addition. And here's just that aerial showing when the different additions were built. And then here's the timeline, basically detailing everything I just covered. And I guess I'll turn it over to the landmark staff for the criteria.
So we're very excited to see another nomination in the West Park neighborhood come forward, and more of that pre-annexation West Park history told and preserved through a process. There's a lot of discussion in our office on the nomination criteria, and the building is definitely seen as a representation of establishment that's a familiar visual feature in the neighborhood. And is associated with someone who significantly contributed to the development of especially this corner that's still named after him in the area. The building itself in today's condition has changed greatly since the original days, since the significance of Tony's restaurant, and in today's appearance reflects the different areas of the building fairly well. And so we are staff is recommending nomination of the Oswald Cam building.
Excellent, thank you. We will then open the floor to the commission for questions and comments. Anderson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the very interesting presentation. Is the current building owner supportive of the nomination?
Yes, the property is in the midst of a sale, and the future owner, the buyer, is very supportive of it, and we're actually doing this under their request and the request of the councilman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Other questions, comments? I guess I'll make mine. I think I'm in support. Obviously, the name of the area is obviously denotes the impacts that Mr. Cam had on the entire area. The building is also has an impact on the area in its unique character, but never tied the two together. So thank you for educating us, and I'm in support of the nomination because of that. Other questions and comments from the commission, or would someone like to put forward a motion for nomination?
Quick comment, I think this is part of me thinks, what do you mean? This isn't a landmark already?
Yeah.
This is again, I think some of these really incredibly significant buildings and I think there's the criteria for cultural significance. It's been so many things. It has been, the different waves of our needs in a neighborhood like Cam's Corner have just washed over this property and the bank property across the street. And it's part of a really important ensemble of structures, I think. That's what's left there anyways. So I think it's also really great that CDC, a supportive owner and a council person that has really championed and encouraged people to have the properties. So with that comment, I would like to make a motion to nominate the Oswald Cams building for
Excellent.
Cleveland Landmarks.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion second. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. Mr. Musson, please call roll.
Hey, Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Dulick?
Yes.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Dr. Williams?
Yes.
And Ms. Trott?
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously with the previously noted recusal. Staff would just like to thank Mr. Lowell for, he nominated this property, 5 years ago? And it didn't have the support of the owner at that time, but it's happy to see him move forward and happy to have him share his research with us. So
Persistence pays off. Thanks.
thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you and congratulations going through this wait, we vote yet?
You did.
Okay, I'm like, my brain just moved. Like, did I just skip a step? Sorry about that. So I know, I think I'm just hungry. So thank you for the nomination. So that concludes our Cleveland Landmark nominations. We'll then move on to our Design Review Advisory Committee appointments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We do have 5 potential new members that we've, I guess, sent out the resumes. I've spoken to all of them. Think they would make great additions to the committees, as you see listed on the screen now. So for the Greater Downtown Historic Design Review Advisory Committee, staff is recommending Ethan Rothermel and Mira Faria. I believe Mira's here online, and she's joined us for the meeting today. So I don't know if she has anything she'd like to say. Give her that opportunity. But then we also have for the Historic West Design Review Advisory Committee, Jessica Stuck and Rob Donaldson. And then for the Historic Ohio City Design Review Advisory Committee, we're recommending Grace Myers. I don't know if anyone has any questions or if you guys have had a chance to review the nominations and are comfortable
Ms. Anderson?
appointing.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I noticed all the nominations, people being nominated are architects. Is that exclusive for architects? Or?
No. We typically ask the CDCs and the committee members for, recommendations if they have. This round seems to be a lot of architects, a lot of which live in the neighborhoods and the historic districts that they're kind of representing. But we do try and have, I guess, diverse architects, design professionals, residents, historic preservationists, so that it's not.
That's what I'm bringing up is that, there are probably people with crafts value backgrounds or, visual arts backgrounds. I think it's important to have a diversity of perspectives here.
Yes. Yeah, we definitely agree.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Before we go back to any comments from the commission, would either of the applicants, I think there's just 2 there online, like to say anything? Since you've sat here for the entire meeting, which we appreciate.
Hi, everyone. I'm Aida here, I know. So it's interesting to see we're mostly architects. I just wanted to say a little bit about my background. I did do architecture school and urban planning back in my home country. And nowadays I'm part of the College of Architecture at Kent State University, but I work as an urban designer at the Cleveland Urban Design Collaborative. And we do work with a lot of communities in Cleveland, especially with master planning and community engagement. So it has been really interesting to see you guys' meeting today and all the neighborhoods that you are helping and assisting with all those historical landmarks. So I just wanted to give a quick introduction and thank you for considering me.
Thank you for your comments. And is that it?
I believe that's the only one.
Okay.
There were a few others had joined earlier, but I think they had
To follow.
to fall off. Yes.
Well, thank you for holding in with us through the entire meeting. We'll then move back to the commission for any questions or comments. Overall, I reviewed the resumes. They look like they're all qualified professionals. I don't mind the leaning a little bit, but I do understand Ms. Anderson's a very valid question or comments that, keeping a diverse makeup for every committee. We probably should continue to encourage our CDCs to make those recommendations also. But overall, I'm in support of the candidates. Other questions and comments from the commission? Anderson?
I would just like to see in the future a more diverse group and more diverse backgrounds on the people staffing these committees. I think that's important. I think the art, of course, having an architect's perspective is vital, but we need to have other members of the community involved as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mr. Dulick?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, just to go along with that, having served on a design review committee for a number of years, I was the only architect at the time. So, and I think it was actually really good. The people that were on it were people who were really plugged into what was going on in the neighborhood, and I think gave a really good representation of kind of their values and priorities as they understood them. So I would concur moving forward. That being said, I reviewed all the resumes. Everybody's clearly, more than qualified to serve in that role. So maybe some of them don't have a yes, I doubt that. All that being said, I think I'm very much in support of this group of highly experienced and qualified folks.
Well, I would just say I appreciate staff's focus over the last few years of trying to define the terms, for everyone within the committees and commissions so that, we do provide that opportunity for new people to be incorporated into every committee and commission. So with that, would someone like to take or make a motion for appointment?
Nate?
Go
We need
for
to
it.
go individually, or can we just?
No, I think you can do them all.
Okay.
Appoint the listed members.
I would motion to appoint the listed members for Design Review Advisory Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Lowe. Do we have a second?
I will second.
Thank you, Mr. Dudek. So we have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? All right, not seeing any. Mr. Mussin, please call roll.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Dulick?
Yes.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Lowe?
Yes.
Dr. Williams?
Yes.
And Ms. Trent?
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Excellent. We'll then move to minutes. There were 5 meeting minutes that were circulated. Does anyone have any questions or comments on the minutes? Not seeing any. Would someone like to make a motion for approval? Three down, Mr. Dudek.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Motion to approve the minutes by read off the dates.
You can, it's fine if you just.
Motion to approve the minutes as confirmed or as written.
All right, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Ms. Anderson, thank you for the second. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. Mr. Mussin, please call roll.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Dulick?
Yes.
Yes. Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Lowe?
Yes.
Dr. Williams?
Yes.
And Ms. Trent?
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Excellent. And then we'll move on to administrative reports.
Just wanted to note that while we were talking about minutes, that was the last of the 2021 minutes. So Landmark staff has been working hard, in particular Jessica and Rachel have been getting us caught up. So done with 21. I think we have about a half dozen from 22 still outstanding, and then a few from 25 to get caught up on, and then we will be up to date. Which
Excellent.
going back 2.5 years, there were 80 some that were outstanding. So it's been a large effort. It's definitely appreciated. So thank you guys.
Kudos.
Yeah, did also just wanted to note, it's the last meeting of the year. You should all have gotten a printed copy of next year's schedule that has been emailed as well. And then also just wanted to note that with the design review appointments, Silvio McCone is stepping down from the Greater Northeast Historic Design Review Advisory Committee. So he's been with us for a number of years. I guess before kind of the mergers and everything, he was on the Little Italy Design Review Committee for a number of years. So just wanted to thank him for all of his years of service.
Excellent. Yes, I appreciate all the contributions. So then with that, we will adjourn our meeting. Want to say happy holidays to everyone and thank you for all of your very thoughtful comments throughout the past year, and appreciate everyone who comes in person because it puts a lot of pressure on the few that are in the room for most of the nominations. So appreciate everyone and everything that you've done throughout the year. So thank you and have a great day and happy holidays.